like pretty much went rogue investigator on them.
Yeah, it was wild.
All right, well, I am officially back, and things seem to be working well now. So
listen, don't you worry. Patreon's got tons of content they're getting right now.
Apparently, yes,
we're recording.
Okay, well, in any event, you ready officially?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the IMNerd podcast, guys. I'm your host, Freeway, and I'm here with my co-host, Kenny, and also we have returning special guest and friend of the show, and my pupil, Stango.
You can tell Frazier was just troubleshooting and not in a good mood, because for the last 17 episodes, I've been the wonderful co-host, the great co-host.
Yeah,
awesome.
he just
today I'm just like,
the way.
today I'm fucking here with Kenny, all right?
I was having some technical difficulty before we officially started recording this episode. So, and technical difficulties definitely drive me batty. But in any event, we are back, and this is post YCS Philadelphia. So YCS Philly just concluded this past weekend, and it was nice in the sense of seeing everyone again. Like, I really enjoyed that. In fact, a lot of people expected me to play a lot of Edison, and they had side events and all that stuff as they usually do. But I saw a couple things that deterred me from that. One, the actual lines for the side events were just out of this world. And then two, the organizational structure of the side event area was not there. I have been to YCS Pasadena last year, and I've been to, I didn't really go to the 250th, even though I went to the 250th, but that's a different story.
We're still waiting on OnlyFans girl. We got to get her on here.
Well, we're not on episode 169 yet. This is episode 150.
That's right. I forgot there was a rule. I forgot we said, okay, good. No, we're good. Anyway, I just want to talk to OnlyFans girl.
So, yeah, we're about 19 episodes off from that. And I still have to even secure that, but I'm hoping that I can get her on. I should be able to get her on. But anyways, yeah, so I looked at just the way they had the side events area set up, and it was just a mess, to put it lightly. Like, it was just absolutely a mess. And then Stango was also telling me, like, yeah, this shit's really bad. And then all my friends who came up to me were just saying, like, James Ark, I ended up meeting with Beast Mode. I ended up meeting with one of my teammates, Jaina. I met with, apparently, I saw Sunny. I didn't know that the person who was playing James Ark was actually Sunny, but I met that person as well.
Sunny as in Sunny Top Cut Podcast? That's Sunny?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think that might be them. Also, Vincent Zen. Vincent Zen was there. Met up with him. So a couple people from our actual Discord and Patreon and stuff like that actually showed up and met with me, and that was pretty cool. But I had no real incentive to play because of, like I said, the organizational just piece of it. And also I met with a couple friends from out of state who I haven't seen in actual years, and they were like, hey, like, do you know places we can go around Philly to like grab a drink and grab food or whatever? And I ended up just hanging out with them basically the whole weekend like that. I just literally ended up only being in the convention center for maybe 2 hours each day. Like, I wasn't really there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like a very long time. I spent majority of the day in Philly just doing other things. And that was really, really fun for me. I had a really good experience Friday. We went to one of my favorite places called Mission Taqueria. So I made like a recommendation post on Facebook of about 10 places that I recommend people go to for different types of cuisine and drinks and all that stuff in Philly. And I ended up going to them myself because literally, I mean, if I'm going to recommend it, right, like I'm going to eat there too. But yeah, we ended up getting like margarita pitchers and tacos and churros and all types of stuff. It was really fun. And then we went to Reading Terminal one of the other days. And that was really good, even though outrageously crowded as usual. But yeah, I had a really good time, but I actually ended up not playing in any Edison side events. Also because I just feel like at this point, they need to change the mat. So the mat is still Light and Darkness Dragon. The mat has been Light and Darkness Dragon.
It's been a while. Like that mat
for like over 2 years now, right?
No, not 2 years, because Edison is relatively new at Konami. So it's been about like 8 months though.
Okay.
So that's still a very long time to just have the same map be given out as a prize, especially when California ran 107 of them. So that was 107 mats given out in California. And then that's not even including the ones that were given out in Pasadena, which was in November. And then all the other ones in like Minneapolis and stuff like that.
You get 6 months from me. All right. 6 months, I feel like is good. That's 2 a year. Even 6 months is a lot.
Yeah,
but
I agree. I would like it to be like every 3 months. So what I want to happen, this is like my ideal world scenario, even though it'll never happen with Konami, but my ideal world scenario would be every 3 months they change the Edison mat to an Edison card, which they already started on now, like Darkness Dragon. They should change it. Like next one could be Substitute. The one after that could be like Blackwing Clute.
Yes.
Yeah, things that I've never gotten a mat to would be cool. Like Substitute is not It doesn't have its own mat, right? So that would be cool to just have substitute on a mat, a swap frog mat at some point, stuff like that. That'll be really decent. And they change it every 3 months because what this will do is it will make people like me who have already won several of them in the past incentivized to play and get the new one, because not only will the new one be different, but it will also cost money. What's happening right now with the Light Darkness Dragon mat is that it was $300 and it is now $100 and probably will be dropping below $100 if they just keep on printing them for the remainder of these events.
Yeah.
So that's kind of unfortunate that something that was considered at first like a really prestigious thing and a collector's item and all this other stuff is now just kind of like, they just gave out so many of them, supply and demand, right? Like it's just the supply has gotten
the market's being flooded with it.
Yeah.
And for the last 8 months, every event has this mat at it. And that's the other thing, like you said, is really true. Like if they're doing this Time Wizard format and they want to keep pushing it and get people to come out, someone like you, and not just you, many other people, if the reward for winning is a mat that I already won 6 times, what incentive do I have to enter again?
Right. Like if you still want my money.
Won't.
Yeah. And that's what happened. I weighed the options. I was like, okay, I could play in Yu-Gi-Oh! Side events this weekend. And that's basically what I've done out of state when I first went to an event that had these things. Or I could actually just enjoy my city with people who haven't been here and God knows how long. And when they were here, they didn't really know anything about it, and just have that experience. And I chose the latter because it yielded more fun. Like I was like, I'm just going to frustrate myself playing Edison format only to win a mat that I already won. But what I will say on the flip side of that, is that Stango and Gary both were able to secure a Light and Darkness Dragon mat. So I'm really proud of both of you guys for, being able to play in these side events. You guys only played in one on Saturday and both of you won your pod, which was really good. A lot of the pods were not run well. And what I mean by that is that you would enter, it would be like an hour before they call your name. And then sometimes people just didn't have their name called at all. So the side event would fire without them, which is really unfortunate. It happened to me in California, so I know it happened in Philly. So you just be like waiting on something and apparently you just miss it.
Yeah, it's even worse than that. And on top of it is that I was a part of a pod that was getting called in 22, and I've like literally heard in my eardrums them call 21 and 23 back to back while I was still waiting, and I was like, I didn't hear 22. But I went up to the desk and I was being reasonable. I was like, okay, I'm going to be very real. I can see universe that I did not hear them call 22. Yeah. And somehow they're doing that.
I mean, how wild is it that you entered a side event in 2022 and they didn't call it still and it's this late in 2023? Like that tells you right there how bad things are being run.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to go up. I'm going to be like, hey, did they call 22 yet? I heard 21 and 23. I may have missed it.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we actually haven't called 22. I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
So then you're just standing there in front of the Konami rep confused.
Yeah. That's like when you go to the deli, and you get the number and it says like 37.
Yeah.
And you hear them say 46 and you're like, wait, hold on. And then you look at the guy, you're like, what number are you? And he goes, I'm 4. And you're like, what is happening?
Yeah. So it's like that happened. And then what happened after that is that I gave it another 10 minutes. They're still moving on to higher numbers. And I'm like, okay, like I need to get an answer here. Yeah. And they're just like, actually, they just fired off 22 at this table. If you go over there, you should still be able to, present yourself. Big Card was at the table that they told me to go to. So then I just realized that no one actually knows where anything is and no one is organized or like calling the shots correctly. So I was able to eventually get it figured out with, someone who appeared to be the leader of the Clueless. And like, this is not to knock anyone who was working the event and stuff like that, but it's just like,
because it's really not on them, to be honest.
Yeah. Like it's just unfortunate because the organization just brought a really bad experience that like I almost considered not entering another one. When I already paid my money, they gave me the option for a refund or refire with my same payment for another one. And I was like, okay, I want to play, so I will enter another one, but I will for sure not enter another one after I complete this.
Yes,
because
win or
this
lose,
is too
you're
much.
like, I'm good on this.
Yeah,
that's really unfortunate that it left such a bad taste in people's mouths because you weren't the only one who I heard this exact same line of thinking where it was like, yeah, I entered, I still haven't heard my name called, but I heard the one called after me. Also, when I did the podcast a couple of months ago where I went to either Pasadena, it had to be Pasadena. I went to Pasadena. I had the exact same experience where they called the number after mine. And I was like, did they call 118 yet? And they were like, no. But I'm like, well, they're on 120 right now. And they're like, yeah, 118 hasn't fired yet. And I'm like, well, if 118 hasn't fired yet, how could 120 have possibly fired?
Yeah.
I don't understand how I'm going to just go with the 8 months figure because that's what Fraser said earlier.
Yeah.
If it's not exactly that, then roughly that.
No, it is because October
I
was when
just
Chris
think-
LeBlanc won again, and that was 8 months ago. But go ahead.
After 8 months, like you've gotta iron out these
Yes.
issues should be fucking iron. It's been
100%.
8 months.
Yeah.
Like the company hasn't ironed out these issues. Like, what are we doing?
Well, if you want to be
Well,
real technical, it's been longer than 8 months because these are just side events. Like this is something that's not really new. Like side events aren't new to YCS. They've always had side events. They just now have Edison side events, but they're the exact same as like a Win-A-Mat for Modern, right? Before they put
Any other
side
event.
So basically what we're really saying is that the side event situation is just not figured out in general. It's not just the Time Wizard stuff. It's like if you want to enter anything, you want to enter Attack on Giant Car, Win-A-Mat, Rivalry of the Warlords, anything, like they're all just kind of disorganized.
I will definitely say from like the consensus of just like, you know, random people around me getting frustrated as well. Like it was not just exclusive to Time Wizard events. Like people were getting screwed over on Big Card and Rivalry.
Yeah.
Like
That's just something you've got to have fucking ironed out. Like,
I mean, they do everything on paper, and there's like one guy who's doing it on a computer.
bro,
and it was,
not even like low tier random local fighting game events do things. Like they're like sign up on challenge. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's another thing. I heard that electronic stuff wasn't really working well that weekend or something like that. Somebody was like, "What's going on with the electronic pairings and all?" And I'm just like, "Oh my god!" But side events should be electronic too. There's no reason that side events can't just be an electronic thing where you get a buzz on your phone when it's time. Like meet here, so it'll say like meet near table whatever for side event 120.
Table I, table J.
Yeah, whatever it is, and that'll tell you directly where to go. Your phone will get a notification. Everyone has a phone. Everyone's on their phone. It would be the perfect solution to all of this.
There's even Wi-Fi like in the venue itself.
Yeah, there's Wi-Fi. There's also just, you know, I had service. I don't know how everyone else's thing worked out, but and then of course if somebody is like not showing up and 7 out of 8 people are there, then that's when you can say, okay, this is an exception. Let me make an announcement. Hey, we're looking for Fraser Smith. Your side event is starting without you. That's the usual announcement that I've become accustomed to hearing when somebody's late for a side event. But sometimes they either just don't make it and they're like, screw it. Or they make it and you're like so far away that you don't hear it. So it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things that definitely should be ironed out by now because again, 8 months or 8 years, side events have been a thing forever. And I feel like there's no reason why they can't just have a bit more of a grasp on how to make it run smoothly. But
it also just, it running smoothly only benefits them. Like it makes it so that more people want to enter, and it makes it so that like more people can enter. Like if it runs more smoothly, that it will in fact benefit them. It's more beneficial for the staff. It's more beneficial for the consumer. And I think it would raise their profits. Yeah.
I mean, to even speak harder to that point, Kenny's actually 100% right in that case for me, because I was planning on entering at least 2.
Yeah.
But I could only enter 1 because I had to take the train back home. And like from the time delay of my original pod being so screwed up and waiting for my next one, I realistically could only enter 1 like comfortably without.
But if it was a good day and shit were moving, you might have entered 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I spoke to Nazar, who was at the event, and he was saying
he got into a bad situation, right? I think.
Oh,
like a similar thing. I don't know if it was him.
He did. I know he won at least one of the pods. I think he only entered 1 though, but I think that he did have some like nonsense going on where his pod took forever to fire, and then it might have fired without him, and then he had to do the refund and put me in another one thing or whatever. But he was saying how it's crazy to me that a company who can literally print money like this, it's in their best interest to just have as many of these run as possible. Like if 170 of them were capable of being run, you want to run all 170. The fact that you only ended up running 60 of them is ludicrous because that's just, you're missing out on so many profits. Like we're in a capitalist country, right? Like we all know it. Konami's a capitalist corporation. Like it, you know, there's no secret about it. Like they want to make money. They do things blatantly to make money, and running as many of these events as possible is, you know, go straight to the bottom line. Like that helps them to make more money. I think if I were running a business, I would want to run as many GOAT format and Edison format side events as possible. And if there is a break somewhere in the chain, I would definitely want to figure out why it exists, and then also fix it so that way things can run smoothly. So there should be a designated person to just make sure that things are running quickly, like literally a person dedicated to just that. Like making sure that side events specifically are running smoothly. That is their sole job. That is literally what they do. They're like, okay, so we ran a 117. What's taking 118? What are we waiting for? Oh, 2 more people have to enter. Okay, the second 2 more people have to enter. I'm going to wait for them, and then we're going to head here and we're going to do this, and then we're going to assign a judge. Just make sure that there's no breakage in anything. Like that should be someone's job at this point, I feel like. But yeah. So how did you feel entering your pod? Because I know you won. So just talk about like the matchups you played and all that stuff and what deck you used. Give us the whole show.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, as far as entering the pod, this was, I believe, I think technically my third in terms of Edison, because I played modern Yu-Gi-Oh in paper.
Yeah,
I think this is my third Edison paper event that I played in. It was one whole Holmes AU local that you and I went to.
Yeah.
The PS5 tournament, and then this. So I was feeling pretty good about it because I feel overall I've gotten a lot better at the game, playing on Dueling Book and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is 100% true.
As far as like my paper play in terms of, not fucking up with my cards and just general not getting nervous because it's like a different atmosphere, I felt really great. I pretty much was not nervous whatsoever the entire time we were playing. 3 rounds, played against Chris Warren round 1, went 2-1. Hero Beat, which I actually did play against Sunny. Side note, the Top Cut podcast that you were talking about, that's not the same Sunny.
Okay.
This is just like purely Edison format Sunny, I guess is what you could say. And then I played a Lightsworn deck for the finals.
Like
it was kind of like, yeah, it was kind of like pure, but it did play like Chaos Sorcerer and stuff. Okay. So like it's like, I forget what they call it. It's like a Twilight or whatever.
Yeah,
is what they
plays
say.
Dark Monsters like Dark Arm, Chaos Sorcerer is probably Twilight at that point.
Yeah, something like that. 2-0'd them and then 2-0'd Sunny the Hero Beat. The event just really ran well. Like I didn't draw really bad. I was on Black Wings. I was on a deck list that you gave me.
Yeah.
Just kind of like a simple game plan of just like play the broken Blackwing monsters, roll oppression your opponents at the game, make Dark Arm Dragon, and a lot of those opportunities were there.
Gary played the exact same thing, and he won his pod as well. He played the Blackwing deck. Just got people out of here real quick. No issues. In fact, Gary apparently went back on Sunday and won another one.
Yeah. In terms of my play and everything like that, like not many mistakes, and I'm getting better at identifying when I do make mistakes and like where it comes and everything like that. Against the Christiasworn deck, I did side deck incorrectly game 2 when I was down 0-2, down 0-1, which could have been a pretty devastating loss for me because I did not side in anything for Consecrated Light. Thankfully, I just Dark Armed him out the game real quick with Whirlwind Shura. And then game 3, I had a pretty interesting line that I ended up running into. I got him low enough in life points where pretty much Brio plus an Arm Wing would be lethal. He's at 42, that does 46. He had a pretty impressive like showing with his field where he like made a Goyo Guardian and a JD, attacked me for a shit ton of damage. And then I just pretty much just 2-turn clocked him the last 2 turns previously before that. So I just went Blizzard, make Brio, bounce, pitch of AU, banish for Arm Wing, and he's like, yep, I don't have anything. No Gores, no Trag, no nothing. And went for game that way.
Yeah.
Yep, 46.
So much
damage. Round two against Sunny. Sunny's really, really good duelist. Really good sport. Really
he's playing Hero Beat, you said?
Yep, Diva Hero Beat.
Okay.
Really good sport, really good at the game. Unfortunately, I do have to say, and Sunny has said it plenty of times when we've talked about it after the fact, like on Discord, that I kind of creamed the shit out of Sunny. It was pretty bad. Game 1, I go first. I pretty much open a hand of pretty much all monsters like Sirocco's and Shoras and Boras. So, but I do have one Icarus tech, so I just go set Icarus, and then pass. And I don't summon any monsters. Because I want him to try to summon Stratos, and maybe I can get an effect, get a big guy, start kind of the train rolling, maybe draw a Whirlwind. So he just pretty much goes Stratos, Tech Direct, sets like a back row. I normal summon Sirocco, beat over for 200, and we just start kind of trading that way. And eventually we reach a game state where I know Sunny knows that I have Icarus Tech set for my very first turn. But one of the turns I actually drew a Solemn off the top. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be my big push. It's going to be Icarus attack. He's going to go Starlight Road. I'm going to go Solemn. And this is pretty much just going to win me the game right here.
Yeah.
And it essentially like plays exactly out to that. Sonny even, vocalized in the middle of that is like, oh my God, you're God. And then it just pretty much was over from that game. Game 2, what essentially happened is that oh no. Actually, it's funny. Game 1, I said something vocal to Sonny where he was just kind of getting beat down by Sirocco, and eventually he just like draws his card, sets it really fast, and passes. And he's really low. I have a Bora and Vayu in my hand, and if I go special Bora, normal Vayu, it's lethal.
Yeah.
And I look at Sonny, and Sonny just kind of stares at me, like kind of arms folded in his hand, hands folded in his arms, just kind of looking at me, seeing what I'll do. And I say to him like, Sonny, you didn't draw Mirror Force. I know you didn't draw Mirror Force. Come on now.
Don't lie to me.
Yeah, don't lie to me, Sonny. So special for a normal Vayu, I get in there because as my sensei told me, they didn't draw that. They didn't draw the out off the top.
Yeah,
I don't believe them.
I just don't believe you.
Yeah, I don't believe you. So we win the game. Very fun, very convincing in that way. Game 2, it's just Royal Oppression City. He's starting to set Spine Gilmans because I stopped a Miracle Fusion.
It's so
getting real
crazy
bad.
that Royal Oppression actually works against that deck because they're playing Divas and Miracle Fusion, so all their big pushes are susceptible to Royal Oppression, strangely enough.
Yeah. It was just like he hit the wind got knocked out of his sails as soon as Royal Oppression resolved. I did misplay though against Sonny in game 2, where I was in a really bad position after I did it. Effectively what happened is that he had a face-up alias and he just goes summon alias, set 2 pass. He doesn't even try to attack like my Sirocco or anything or Gem Spark it because he's super, super low in life. I misplay. I have an Icarus set and I end phase pop the 2 back row when I don't have a monster out to alias on the field. I just have a Bora in my hand. So I'm literally just saying my deck needs to top deck anything to kill this alias.
Yeah.
Obviously, draw off the top. I don't get it. I think I draw like a Greffer maybe or something. Or no, I draw Blizzard. Blizzard's dead. It doesn't summon anything. I don't have any 4s in the grave. So I set my Bora and I'm just like, well, if I lose, then like this is my mistake.
Yeah.
Because I know the 2 back row. I know one of them is a Miracle Fusion because it's been in there since 86. In the hand since 86, like since I've resolved Oppression and it hasn't been set. So I'm like, okay, it's not a monster. It's probably like Diva or like Miracle Fusion. And then when he sets 2, I'm like, okay, it's Miracle Fusion. So I should have went for the 50
perception right there.
Yeah, I should have took the 50-50 of hitting the monster in one of the back rows to snipe the real one because the real one was a bottomless. So once I set the Bora, it's like, okay, here goes this. He goes draw pass pretty much with attacking direct with alias. He doesn't set anything. I think it's another dead Miracle Fusion. Then we draw Greffer after I draw Blizzard last turn, and I have 1 piece of an arm wing in the graveyard. I'm like, oh wow, I fucking top decked out of this. So I go Greffer, Prio, pitch Blizzard, get Vayu, make arm wing, beat over with arm wing, and then attack direct for game with Greffer. Clutch it out there. But
really
pretty much
low?
made the game. Yeah, really, really low.
Oh, wow.
He was dead. He was dead to that.
And there's a face-up oppression on the field?
Yes, there's a face-up oppression on the field.
Yeah,
yep.
so Blizzard wasn't good right there, yeah.
Yeah, Blizzard was awful. Because once the Bora hit the grave, like obviously I would love to go Blizzard, like make Goyo or something, or even like Brio for game or something, but that just, it wasn't going to happen there.
Yeah. Okay, that worked out.
I pretty much put myself in that position. Thankfully, my deck was
50-50.
Yeah, thankfully my deck, was kind to me and just gave me the out anyway.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
Fun fact about beating Sonny. Apparently, I am the only one that defeated Sonny at all during that weekend. Sonny went on a tear, even beating James.
Oh.
Yeah, didn't lose a single pod except to me. So,
yeah, I know,
feel myself a little bit.
Some people won multiple mats. Apparently Gary was one of them. My one teammate, Jaina, she won 3 out of 4 that she played in, she said.
Yep.
So there were a couple people who did leave with multiple. The one guy who was playing, Anthony Pasquarello, who was playing Frog, shout out to him. He's playing the Diva Frog deck with Maria Greets, and he ended up winning 2 mats, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. But they gave him a feature match on Sunday, like a written feature match on the website.
Oh, that's cool.
While he was in the finals of one of them on Sunday, I believe it was. So that was really cool. I thought like that Konami just decided randomly to just like, you know what, we're just going to feature this match right here. You guys are in the finals of one of these Edison events, and we're just going to put this on the website, just, you know, showing more support for the format. But yeah, he got pulled over for that, and he ended up winning with the frog deck, and so that was pretty good showing, it having won at least 2 events there that I know of. And then also I played him for fun. He was the only person that I actually think I played on Saturday, and we were doing a frog mirror match, but our frog decks were very different. So it was a mirror match only in the sense they were both running like 10 frogs and Caius, but then all the rest of our decks were very different. Like he didn't run Destalos, he didn't run Soul Exchange, stuff like that, and I did. So that was really cool. But yeah,
cool.
I
it's cool that
enjoyed.
there's variety in that deck.
Yes, you can run the hero package, you can run the straight Monarch deck, you can
even
the
run
Even
fucking what's his name, Turbo Rocket.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, that's the one that, so my teammate Jaina, that's what she played. She won 3 out of 4 events with the Burn Frog deck that plays Lava Golem, Turbo Rocket, and
Oh man, that deck is so strong.
yes, it's very scary because if you don't, I think that, so you know how the online Edison community is way ahead in terms of just the knowledge that the player base has compared to the people who just play in person. Well,
Yeah.
if you don't play online and you're not in like the message boards and stuff like that on Discord or whatever, you could easily get lost in what the hell is happening when you play against the Burn Frog deck. If you don't know that list, like if you have no idea what's in that list, they play
so like you could be given a lava golem like, oh, you gave me a 3K beater, well, don't mind if I do, and then they start flipping Wabakus and magic cylinders on you.
Like if that catches you off guard, I think it's really bad. It's one of those decks that like you need to know what it is when you're playing against it in order to beat it, because you could lose in a way that you just don't expect. Like you said, Magic Cylinder, also Marshmallow. Randomly you attack face down with a Lava Golem, and it's like flip, deal 1,000. So you already took 1,000 when you drew for turn, and then you took another 1,000 when you attacked face down. So you're 2,000.
If you attack, the other thing is Magic Cylinder. It's like such a good, and everybody knows it's a bad card in that it's a -1.
Right,
It doesn't do anything to the field. But if I give you Lava Golem and you try to attack and then take
so
3K to the face, like, oh my God.
Yeah. It could be as much as 5,000 damage from just that, because you get the Lava Golem, you take 1,000 immediately, and then you attack, you take 3,000. So now you lost 4,000. The Lava Golem is still sitting there unless you get rid of it. So like he already attacked that turn. You're getting no value out of his Lava Golem. You already taken 4,000, and if you don't get rid of it, then it's just another 1,000. So you end up taking 5,000 damage from just Lava Golem, Magic Cylinder, and I think, thank God, Magic Cylinder's at 1, but still.
Yeah, imagine if Magic Cylinder was at 3, like you just pretty much could never attack with these fucking guys.
I would also say that the format would be different if Magic Cylinder was at 3, low key. I think Magic Cylinder at 3 would be toxic as hell. Like,
Yeah, I
imagine
agree.
Blackwings doing that, right? Blackwings playing 3 Magic Cylinder would be wild.
Yeah, that's too much.
I agree, because it's a card where at 1, a lot of people don't play it because it
It's not
doesn't really
viable.
have a value.
It's not powerful
But
enough.
at
to-
3, I
yeah.
think it makes it so swingy, because now it's just like, now it just
so
feels
scared.
annoying.
Yeah, you'd be so
'Cause-
scared. Imagine being at 2,000 and you want to attack, and you're like,
Like
fuck.
where we're at in Edison right now, there's already so many situations where it's like, am I really okay to attack though? Like you're
Yeah.
worried about Gores, you're worried about Trag, you're worried about Honest, you're worried about Clute. Sometimes your boss monsters can't deal with the D prison. Like there's so many
Yeah.
attacks to worry about, and to throw Magic Cylinder where it's just like, well, I'm at like 22, and this guy I have on the field is randomly 28. Like,
Yes, like
what if
would
I fucking
cause-
attack and you kill me just now?
It causes a lot of games to come down to that, and that's a scary feeling. Like, wow, this game is actually going to come down to, if I swing, I might lose the game, because Magic Cylinder is consistently. I mean, if it's at 3, there's a 40% chance that your opponent open will won. So that would be wild.
That's wild.
To
cool.
to go
That's a cool
to go
list, though. I
further-
didn't know about that one.
Yeah, the frog burn list. It was actually a really fun episode when me and Virgil recorded.
Yeah, we scraped
Yeah.
everybody we played with that deck, by the way. Like, that episode is just an hour of us going around beating everybody, like, pretty bad.
It's a Rognak deck, by the way, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, he's the one. He got 3rd place.
I mean,
tournament with it.
Rognak, just as a side bit, like Rognak, frog god, no one does it better. It's not even close.
I heard about him making a burn frog deck, but I didn't know exactly what was in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you might
that's
actually
cool.
enjoy that episode, Kenny. You should check that one out. It's
I watch a couple of them. I haven't seen that one, but I do
Yeah.
watch a couple of them.
No,
I
I know.
like listening to you fucking rage.
Oh yeah, the last one I just put out with
does everyone.
gadgets. Yo, people came up to me at the YCS and were telling me about how funny it was when the guy played fucking Secret Village of the Spellcasters on me, and I have like 8 spells. They were like, "I love when you get mad. It is so funny." I'm just like, you people need help. Like, all
Nah,
you need
man.
help.
Oh
That's what
man.
it's about.
Yeah.
To finish out though, my last round in the finals was against like a Twilight Lightsworn deck.
Yeah.
This guy actually beat James and denied him like I think a chance in the finals in one of his pods. So I had a little extra motivation to get this win. I was
To get
just like, you know, I
revenge,
gotta get some vengeance for James. I mean, it couldn't have gone literally any better. Like, I forget exactly if this was game 1 or game 2, but this is how I know I was playing pretty well because it was such a weird and interesting line. He had a really big ass Trigoti on the field after I was just like bore attack for like 3 turns.
Yeah.
And he was so low on life. And I was gonna let him attack when I had double Colute in my hand because I wanted to like do something else with like sure a Colute over get a guy. But I was like, you're so low on life and you've let me beat your fucking ass silly with this Bora.
Not beat your ass silly.
So the Bora's not leaving. So I dropped double Colute and he's just like, damn, really?
Yes, really.
And I was like, yes, this fucking Bora's been doing the absolute most to you. Show me what you're going to do about it.
The 4500 Bora.
Yeah, because it's not going to be Trag. Trag's not doing anything to this guy.
Yeah. You didn't steal it. I wonder why he didn't go for steal, because I feel like Lightsworn plays enough.
That was his misplay after we finished the set. He had a dead wolf in his hand. So he just I mean, this is the thing that we've talked about in private. Maybe we even said in some recorded episodes, like, you know, you need luck to win, but, you know, in a lot of different ways, like your opponent just misplaying is enough for you to win.
Yes.
And that's like a prime example.
So many games I play where I'm like, I should have lost, but my opponent decided that they wanted to lose instead. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't win that game. My opponent lost that game. And that's essentially what happens quite often. Yeah.
Yeah. So that happens, and then game 2. I mean, Gary watched it. It was a backyard barbecue. It was Cook City. He set Plague Spreader into my Shora.
Oh no.
He set Plague Spreader into my Shora, and I'm like, oh, well, I've already Warwind Shored. Like,
oh no,
we're doing the most. So he went set Plague and nothing, and I'm like, oh, you're not setting back row? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, draw. I draw Whirlwind. I already have Shore in my hand, so I like. And I have real back rows too. I have like Solemn, I have Oppression, I have Bottomless. I'm like, no. I'm making Stardust. But then I think to myself, I'm like, okay, I think it might be Raikou. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna Whirlwind Sure. I'm still gonna search Gale because Gale beats anything and I can get like a Vayu with it. So like I'm still thinning through my deck, but I'm not gonna special Gale. I'm gonna go attack with Shura, and he has to choose Whirlwind or Shura. And it's a Plague. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, so I was just waiting for you to make the decision of, you know, pop my Whirlwind and I still make Stardust with a real back row.
Right.
But now I get to keep everything. Like Whirlwind's still here. I'm still making Stardust. Bayou's in the graveyard. I'm fucking hooked the absolute up. So Stardust is just putting it in, just like attacking. And he makes this really interesting play where I think I have a Bora on the field. I have Stardust Bora. He pretty much he has no turns. He's literally at 500 life points. And I remember this so clearly because he goes summon Honest. I'm like, sure. Because I actually don't have a legitimate response, but I'm like looking around at my cards. I'm just like kind of thinking about what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
Because I think one thing that's really helped me with a lot of my growth as a player is that like I'm thinking about what's happening in the future and not, you know, having the pressure of reactively thinking what I want to do when I see a threat. Like I'm like, where does this lead to? Because one thing that I can notice sometimes with me is that like if I'm in a situation where I don't know the direct answer off the top immediately, and like, you know, a summon or a card activation comes as a surprise to me, like I feel like I make mistakes very often.
Yeah.
I just like act too quickly because I'm uncomfortable. So as soon as he summons the Honest, I'm like, okay, summon Honest. I look at my cards. I look at his hand. I'm like, well, you have Plague in the grave. You make Brio that gets oppressioned, or it gets Bottomless. You summon Lila, but you're already normal summoned. And I'm like, okay, go ahead. Like
yeah,
I'm like,
you.
Yeah, like I'm like this Honest, like you have another Honest? Like you're just gonna go Honest, normal summon and just pass? And he goes, battle. Sure. Attack Bora. Okay. Damage calc? I tell him like, okay, declare is fine. Would you like to proceed to damage? He's like, yes. Damage step. Nothing. I tell him nothing. He's like, okay, damage calc. I'm like, nothing. He takes 400. He's at 100 life points. I'm like, Plague, you have Chaos Sorcerer in your hand?
Oh.
So he starts picking up his cards in the graveyard and putting them in the banner zone. I just flip Oppression before I even see the Chaos Sorcerer. I'm just like, I'm flipping it. And he extends the hand out and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just like,
you were like, what
Chaos Sorcerer, really? Yeah, I was like, Chaos Sorcerer, really? He starts picking up the cards in the graveyard. I'm like, I have Oppression. Just like, don't even bother. Put him there, but yeah, he's not coming out.
Yeah, I think a big part of playing decks, especially with traps, is having the restraint to not use them when you don't need to. Like, you look at the situation, if he summons an Honest and he has Plague Engrave and you are just sitting there with Oppression face down, like, I don't care what your other traps are, you're not really threatened by this Honest, right? Like, it doesn't do anything. It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
like in that situation, I didn't have any legal things to do it, to the honest, but
Yeah.
like I gave myself the time where I was like, okay, let me do an actual risk assessment to the
Yeah, like,
situation and
where
not
is he
get
going with
stressed.
this? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, don't let your opponent stress you out when they do a little thing that honestly might not even be threatening to your field. So a lot of times people just do stuff just because they can do it, and that is, I always say, what's the difference between you and just a bot playing in your seat, right? Like, if you just activate Torrential on the first summon that happens, then you're no different than anyone else who plays the game on a very basic level, right? Like, oh, the monster was summoned. This card says when a monster is summoned, I can activate it. That is the most basic level of playing the game. But it's like, well, does that monster that was summoned do anything? Like, if they're just summoning a DD War Lady and attacking you, it's like, I don't really need to torrential that. I can just cast that next time when my Treeborn comes back. I'll take the 15. It's no big deal. Whatever. Well, not, I guess not Treeborn in that case, but like, whatever. Something comes back.
Yeah.
Like, you got a Drill
Yeah.
Warrior back or something, and you're just like, all right, I'm just gonna do this to it. And I'll hold my torrential for a later time. Like, I'll get 2 dandy tokens. I'll still have the torrential and the 2 dandy tokens when he comes back, and then eventually I'll Caius it and deal with it that way. And if he summons more monsters, right? Because I'm going to go banish Drill Warrior, get the 2 tokens, and if he summons the second monster to clear both tokens, because he's like, I don't want to get Caiused, you're like, perfect.
Yep.
Now I torrential you, and then that way you get your 2 cards out of the torrential. But a lot of people will just see it and just be like, you know what? I'm just going to torrential this right now, and it's like, well, 1500 damage isn't really that big of a deal. And I talk about this all the time, but I like using my life points as a resource and just, taking damage in order to use my cards more efficiently throughout the course of the game. I think that's just how you get better value, is you trade life points for a better position a lot of the times. And that is a format that is a slippery slope. It's a game that you need to know how to play well, because a lot of the format does come down to where life points are. Just because Burn Control is like the best card in the format, and people can randomly burst out a lot of damage.
There's so many beatdown decks. It's like that it comes to a point a lot of times, and this is like true in every format of Yu-Gi-Oh! Really, but like I make a pretty big understanding of it in Edison because I play it so much. Like, there are some plays that you're strictly just not allowed to do anymore when you hit certain life point thresholds.
Yes.
And like, that's bad, because it's like a good balance where it's like you trade the life points for a better position, but sometimes you got to drop your Gores early. Sometimes it's like your hand says like, all right, your big Gores token is fine and all, but if you're at 12,000 life points and Gores ever leaves, like, you're not allowed to summon anything in face-up attack position. You're not allowed to leave like your field to get torrential, and you have no monsters to soak up damage. Like, all those things now are like not favorable for you anymore.
We had a video, our last video actually, the gadget one, right? We played against a guy. It was the last duel, so we ended up losing against the Secret Village of Spellcasters guy. But then we played another person, and they ended up summoning a Stardust, which obviously is cracked against that version of the deck because it plays like 9 destruction spells. Actually, it might be 10. It's like 3 Fisher, 3 Smashing Ground, 3 Hammer Shot, and a Lightning Vortex. So it plays all these cards that Stardust negates. And Stardust isn't even that good in Edison format, but like when you're playing a deck like that, it's actually a god card. But what ends up happening is he took so much damage in the early game that when he summoned Stardust, it got to a point where he had to put it in defense mode. And it was just like, well, Stardust in defense mode is so bad. Like, I remember saying, like, you might as well have summoned Thought Ruler and gained life on it. I had a Cyber Dragon on the field and he summoned Stardust and attacked it. And I was like, at that point, if you're going to put it in defense mode after one turn of it being in attack mode, you might as well have just summoned
You do
Thought
not
Ruler.
put them in defense mode. Because
Stardust in defense is terrible.
Because like, I get it, you don't want to lose life points, but he's not defending you. He's not defending you in defense mode.
Yeah. Yeah, he ended up attacking me directly with a Stratos, I think, and I dropped Gores. And so now Stardust has to go in defense mode because you're at 200 and Gores literally attack over Stardust for game. So it's like, you would never do that if you had
it's just one of those situations where it's like, I feel like when I first started out playing the game, I could see myself being in that position and being like, there wasn't much I could do. I was so low. But like, not really understanding. It's like, well, what led to you being that low? Because when you're in that point of the game, you must not have a strong assessment of how, like, where the tempo of the game is swinging. Where it's like,
not only that, right there, you just summon, like Fraser said, Thought Ruler or like Colossal or something.
One of those two.
Yeah,
if I'm at 200 and I can summon to level 8 and my opponent just has a Cyber Dragon attack and no back row, so I know my attack is going through, I'm even going to say, okay, I want to gain life. So I want to gain 2100, which will put me at 23, which is much more favorable. Also, it puts you out of brain control range because Thought Ruler can't be brain controlled once you're at 2300. You just pay to, you just pay to negate it. So Thought Ruler is really good there. Colossal's also really good if you're like, I don't believe you're going to have the brain control anyway. I'm going to attack over this guy. And then when I attack directly, eventually with the Colossal Fighter, I don't have to worry about Gores because Gores doesn't do well against Colossal Fighter. But Stardust was like the worst one. And I was like, you're not even, it was the fact that he wasn't protecting anything. He summoned Stardust and just attacked us. And
it was like open field after that.
Yeah, I was like, well, where the back row at, right? Like, what are you doing? Why is there Stardust out there and no back row? So that was really weird. But yeah, life points are a slippery slope and just one of the things that you have to really know how to manage in the format. But yeah, overall, I think the event was pretty cool. I ended up meeting up with Joji Orlando and Nazar Sarhan, who are both coming back on the podcast really soon this year. So me and Joe literally scheduled. So he's a teacher and his school year ends like June 20th, I think he said. So after June 20th, he wants to come back on the podcast. And then Nazar said whenever, basically, so I can schedule him whenever I want. But yeah, those two are definitely coming on. And then I forget there was somebody else who's going to come back on as well. Like James Ark was there. We hung out with him basically the whole weekend too. When I was in the convention center, I hung around him a lot, and I actually kept seeing him throughout the weekend in a weird way. Like I would be not at the convention center. I would be like either at Reading Terminal or just walking around the city, and I would just see him standing around almost looking like awkwardly or like aimlessly, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's just like, I'm thinking about what I want to get for food. And I'm just like, why do I keep running into you outside of the convention center? Like not even directly in front of it or anything. Like it's like on a random street in Center City. I'm just like, what are you doing?
It was actually funny. I saw Vinny on my way home Saturday. He was walking. He's like, how much farther is the venue? I'm like, it's down on Broad Street. He's like, all the way down there?
Yep. Because Vinny a big boy. He does not feel like walking. Funny thing is, Vinny called me. We got together on Saturday. I went with him to go get food and dessert. So we ended up going to a new hot pot place called Happy Lamb. So usually we go to a place called Chubby Cattle. Chubby Cattle is by far the best hot pot place in the city of Philadelphia. It's actually insane. They have Wagyu. It's also not expensive, which is the big thing. And they have all you can eat now for, I think it's $40 a person. I think it might be 30. And then after tax and all that, it comes out to 40. I forget, but it's really cheap and they do all you can eat. So you can order as much food as you want. And it's very, very, very delicious. So we've been trying that out a lot, but then we found a new one that's also in Chinatown and around the corner from Chubby Cattle called Happy Lamb. And me, him, Corey Fowler, and Wayne, so the people who I went to North Carolina with, who all taught with me at that event, at the 2K, we all got together and went to Happy Lamb, and we ate until we couldn't eat anymore. And then we went to a dessert place that I randomly found on Google that was in walking distance around the corner, and it was called a la Mousse. And that place, I updated my recommendations list like right after we went, because that place is insane. It has like a lot of different kinds of desserts, like cheesecakes and cookies and brownies and souffles, like all types of stuff, right? But what makes it so cool is that because it's like very Asian inspired, it's very decorative, the desserts. Some of them are literally shaped as little bunnies, shaped as little bears and all kinds of other animals and stuff with smiley faces and things. And it's really well done. Like it looks really, really nice. All desserts look so appetizing. And so everybody got something different and we all basically tried each other's desserts and it was cracked out. But yeah, I ended up spending basically that night, like Saturday night, with Vinny and the gang, and it was awesome. Like we got some really good food and dessert. And so now that place is added to my list of, especially because I like sweet stuff. So I was just like, oh man, I'm coming back here a lot because every time there's a Philly regional in 2 weeks. Like there is a Philly regional right back in the convention center in 2 weeks. Same exact place, 2 weeks from today. So I'll be back there and probably getting hot pot and also a la Mousse again because that shit was actually fire. And I want to try this mango cheesecake that they had. It was so good. My friend had it. I only got a little piece though.
So that means you gotta show me that if you're gonna make the recommendation list. You have to show your friends, right?
I mean, if you come down for the regional in 2 weeks, we can absolutely get hot pot and a la Mousse. I'm totally down for that. Like that would be really fun. Like, we can all go. Me, you, Gary, whoever wants to. Whoever, all are invited. It's yeah, all are invited. It's a pretty good place. Happy Lamb. Yep. But okay, so that's basically the YCS stuff. Things coming down the pipeline as far as like who we're bringing back on for Yu-Gi-Oh! Talk episodes and stuff like that. Next, me and Kenny are going to be talking about this PlayStation showcase that aired basically at the end of last week. So
Can I just say, first of all, I did not know it was going to be an hour. When you linked it to me and I was like, all right, cool. Like I got it. I watched it last night because I just hadn't had time. So last night I'm playing Zelda and then I was talking to Connie, my girlfriend, if anybody doesn't know. We were talking, we were like, hey, when we eat dinner, I'll throw on the PlayStation Showcase. We'll watch it together for the podcast tomorrow. She was like, all right, cool. How long is it? I was like, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I fucking turn it on and like the video is like an hour and 19 minutes. I was like, what the fuck?
It's long. And so Stango, if you want, you can hop off now. If we're just gonna rant about this because this showcase was not very good, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I have to say, I don't know if it's the same exact showcase, but whatever showcase had the Metal Gear remake, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'm all for it. You know,
there were three or four things that were good out of it, but they also showed like 20 different things. And that there were only like if you have a test and you only get 3 out of 20 right, you failed. So
yes, you did. Yeah, I'll say the Metal Gear thing I thought was hype. I will say, I don't know if you guys got a good look at it though. His like fucking bandana is like fused to his head. Like if you look at the picture, it looks really weird. Like his bandana is like his skin. Like it looks so fucking weird. But overall, Metal Gear coming back is hype, and the fact that they're remastering or remaking, I don't know, the old games, and then there's a brand new Metal Gear coming out is dope as shit. I don't know if Kojima's working on it or not, but
I believe the rumor. Yeah, I believe the rumor of it is that nope, he's still blackballed from Konami.
Damn. Well, it's so cool that Metal Gear is coming out. When the music started and everything, I was like, oh shit!
Oh,
like,
you're right. I just pulled up the picture of or I pulled up the video and I see his headband. It is
you can see his frowning expression.
Yes, you see his frowning expression.
That's been that way for a very long time though. It's so funny.
But it looks bad.
It looks like
he's got a really predominant eyebrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, I'll head out for this. It was good talking about the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. You know, glad that
you
I
don't
was
have to
able
head out, but you can head out.
No. I'm heading out. I was told to leave. That's what I inferred from this.
No one told you to leave. I just said
no. You told me to leave. Say it.
Okay.
I want you to say it.
Leave.
Leave.
Okay.
Fine. It wouldn't be that way.
I'll see you guys.
See ya.
That's like when someone's like,
I'm heading out, guys. Like,
I want to do this.
You know, I'm leaving.
And, you know, like,
I'll
like, all right, I'm not going to beg you to stay.
Oh no! Remember, what's it called? Poorhouse Girl or
yes, from the Friendsgiving.
Yeah,
all right, guys, I'm leaving again for the 8th time.
Yeah, guys, I'm leaving.
Not in case you can't.
I'm gonna take this really long walk, really late at night. I'm just one lonely girl with 2 bags.
Yeah, 2 bags. Hopefully, does anyone want me to get them anything, or maybe stay or talk? Anything?
Just kind of like throw it out there. And a list of things.
Fraser's like, you guys are monsters.
Yes, literally horrible. American Horror Story.
I'm out.
All right, see you, Stango.
But I guess jumping to the beginning of the showcase, right?
Yes, the beginning of the showcase.
I want to start off with this. It comes on and I can't remember the name of the game. I should have asked Stango while he's here. There's a game that I thought the first game was, right? Or maybe the second game.
I thought the first game was Starship Troopers, if I'm being completely honest. You ever see the movie Starship Troopers?
Yeah.
So Starship Troopers is a game where humans are fighting these insects on these weird planets. They fight these gigantic insects, and the humans have heavy artillery like AKs and all that stuff. But it is one of my actual favorite movies growing up as a kid for some reason. Like I ended up watching it a lot, and it has a lot of funny humor in it, and like I don't know, it's a pretty good movie series. I think there's like 2 or 3 of them. They might have made more of them, but I just stopped after a while. But the first 2 are good.
Are you talking about the first game or the second game that was shown that you thought was Starship Troopers? Because it sounds like you're maybe talking about the second game.
Yeah, it was whatever one where they were gunning down insects, which I think was the second game. But I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Kenny. I couldn't tell what was a game and what wasn't. But it was the one where the guy was speaking like propaganda. So it was
it was a guy.
Okay, so it was a guy doing recruits. I just sent you a list in the group chat. I don't know if you see it.
So
this is every single game. So I think it was called Helldivers 2 because it says Starship Trooper vibes. Helldivers 2 was the game that I'm talking about.
So here's what annoyed me. Okay, it starts off with like a gun game, like they're robbing a bank or something, right?
Yeah.
And whatever, cool. I'm like, oh, whatever, that looks cool. And then like the second game is like a propaganda thing, and it's like Helldivers, and it's like they're shooting shit on another island. I was like, all right, whatever. I was like, okay, like I want to see something different. Like I'm getting like gun overload. Like I don't care right now.
Yes.
And then it gets to the third game, and I was like, okay, this looks different. Like it's like magical or mystical stuff. Well, no, hold on. Actually, when the third trailer starts, I literally said out loud, I was like, it's going to be another gun game. And then it starts, and it's like magical, mystical shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this might be interesting. This might be like an RPG. And then they're just it's just a magic gun game.
Yes.
Like it's just another FPS, and he's just shooting magic bullets instead of gun bullets.
Literally
and I was like,
that.
oh my fucking god, it's another gun game.
It's a first-person shooter game, but instead of literally using a gun, the guy's hand is outstretched on the screen, and he's just shooting bullets from his fingers. It's
I
like,
was like, bro.
yeah. Also, I think it was poor taste for them to line up 3 basically shooting games in a row because I got confused. I couldn't tell when the trailers were actually switching, to be completely honest.
It was
Like obviously the Magic one looked different, but the first couple of games just looked so similar with just you know like run and gun that I just thought that it was one long ass trailer for some run and gun game, and I didn't realize that these were all very different games.
It exhausts me just because like I've gotten out against gun games, as everybody knows. I randomly became a Fortnite-fer, and gun games are but. At the end of the day, the gameplay loop of gun games is, you know, at the end of the day, it's a first person shoot. You just shoot in first person and like, you know, whatever. I don't know. But 3 gun trailers in a row is exhausting. I'm like, oh my, please, Lord, show me something else.
Yeah. And then after that was something called Ghost Runner 2, I want to say. I don't know. A lot of these games, if I'm being honest, they just look kind of soulless.
So the Ghost Runner game I thought looked, I mean, first of all, as a breath of fresh air, it looked like something different from the last 3 games. It looks like Sekiro or something like that. Like
I know exactly what you're talking about. Ghost of Tsushima type vibes, right? Like that.
Yeah. It looked cool. It looked like one of those games that like is fun. Like I would definitely try it if it was on Game Pass or something, which is an Xbox thing. Yeah. But like if it was on Game Pass, I'll definitely like, oh cool, I'll download this and try it. And then, you know, whether or not I really like it. But
the first thing that really made me like perk up a little bit was Phantom Blade 0. This game, so it looked like Monster Hunter. When I first was watching it, it's like a guy running through what looks like an ancient forest of some sort, right? It looks like a Monster Hunter map, and he has a katana on his back, and he has armor on. And the way he's running, the way the graphics look, it's like raining and stuff, and there's like little creatures and stuff around. I legit was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the game I was talking about. I forgot about the motorcycle game.
Yes. Oh, okay. Oh, so when I was saying Ghost Runner 2, you thought I was talking about the Phantom Blade game.
Yeah, because the Phantom Blade game reminded me of Sekiro.
Okay.
And like,
yes.
And
so
I thought
this is the game
I thought that game looked cool. I would definitely try it, like I said, on Game Pass or something.
Same.
My only real gripe with it so far is like, I hope when the game actually comes out, like if I were to try it, not that I don't even have a PS5 right now, but I hope it's not as dark as it was. Look, everything looked cloudy and foggy.
Yeah,
and
there's not much color.
The screen looked really, really dark, and I hope that it doesn't always look like that.
Yeah, some people enjoy that type of thing because the only colorful thing I see is the blood. Like as the guy swinging his sword and cutting things, you see some blood splatter, and that's the only real color. Everything else is very dried out, like very dreary looking, very gray. Everything's like a veil of gray on everything. But the game does actually look good. Like if I'm going off of graphics
when they showed,
and combat system,
when they showed like that girl's like head that was like cracking and turning, I was like, oh.
I also like the mask dude who kept switching his face and switching his voice. He was like, here, we all wear masks. And then his mask would change, and then he would say something else, and the voice would be different. Then he would say something else, and the mask would change again. I thought that was really cool. And then they showed some boss fights, and I saw someone using the weapon that Gogo from Kill Bill used. It was the exact same like chain weapon with the ball at the end, and then you have the option to make it into like a spiked spinning blade weapon.
He was big. He looked like fucking like Astaroth from Soul Calibur.
He was huge.
A big motherfucker.
A very big disparity from a young high school girl swinging it to a gigantic brolic ass dude swinging it, right? But yeah, this game actually does look decent. And again, I thought it was Monster Hunter at first. I didn't see Capcom, so I was like, it's probably not Monster Hunter. But I do know that there's supposed to be a Monster Hunter like Paradise in development right now, which will be on the next gen consoles like PS5 and Xbox and PC. And it's going to be really high graphics and just basically Monster Hunter World 2.
I would love if that actually released the same time on PC, but it probably won't.
Me too, because I already said that I would like to play the next Monster Hunter game on PC. I'm just tired of PC getting like so many cool things, including like I like the mods. I've seen mods when I watch a lot of YouTube channels, and I've seen them play on PC with all these crazy mods where your main character is like Sanji or something.
Well, that's the thing on PC. Like, not only can you get mods. Here's the thing: Monster Hunter. At the end of the day, the game is about wearing clothes.
Yes.
Okay.
Literally,
that's what the whole game is about, getting clothes, and it's a game with a ton of different clothing options. So mods gives you more access to those, but also gives you access to more fights. Like people have modded in monsters into Monster Hunter World that aren't in World, but there's people in the game. Like I think somebody tried to mod like Lagiacrus
That's true.
into one of them, either World or Rise. I don't remember which one. But yeah, I mean, the idea of there being more boss fights and shit is really cool. Like it's the same thing with Cage 3. The next time I play Cage 3, it is going to be the PC version because I've already played through the game like 4 times.
Yeah.
Next time I play it, it will be the PC version, and I'm gonna play through the game like as Riku or something. And there's a bunch of dope ass mods with like more bosses and shit like that. So that's just really fucking exciting. Like I don't know, mods add so much to games.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I like the idea of mods. Me and you already agreed a while ago that the whole point of Monster Hunter is like grinding and repetition and like getting your charms and your clothes and your weapons and stuff. So we don't have any intention of using like the cheats that people do to just get everything, because that takes away the whole point of the game in my opinion. But as far as just the mods that are cosmetic, I'm totally down with using cosmetic mods. Like that is not even a question. Like I'm not trying to modify my charm to be like the best. I don't want to just be like, oh, I just have all the god charms, and
then
it's just bad.
You have no reason to play the game.
Yeah,
like people are doing that
we played was to grind those charms.
People are doing that in the new Zelda. It got patched out, but there was a duping glitch in the new Zelda.
Yeah, you could dupe like diamonds. You could dupe like all kinds of coins and stuff like that.
It's patched out now, but I saw people saying like, first of all, complaining that it got patched out, and second of all, also I saw people literally saying like, I'm not updating my game until I dupe 999 of like all of the upgrade materials. And it's like, well, if you have all of the materials in the game at max, like what the fuck's the point in playing the game? Like I don't know. Like there's no reason to play the game if you just have 900. If you have 999 diamonds, then money no longer means anything in the game.
Correct.
And like I don't know. It's just shit like that is so stupid to me.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on, and I agree with you 100%. I think that when I was younger, I liked to use Game Shark and Action Replay and stuff like that on games that I had already beaten. And that was fun, right? Once you beat the game, you know, you could go and do whatever the hell you want with it. But before you even beat the game or play through the game, if you just go in and alter it, like I just think that's wild. I don't know. There was this game that they showed called Neva though on the PlayStation Showcase. Oh, did you want to say something else, Kenny?
I was going to say the next game was Sword of the Sea. I thought that looked cool. Not much to say about it, but I thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
It's like not a game that I would buy right away, but it's definitely like it's a game I would want to play, but not necessarily buy it right away.
Sword of the Sea. Let me see what this looks like. I know I was watching the trailer for this a bit. Oh, Sword of the Sea. Yeah, I saw. Okay, this looks really colorful. Really, this actually does look cool. I'm not really sure what the point of it is though.
Yeah, I don't know what the point of it is. It might like if the point is it's just like a magical Tony Hawk game, like that's definitely because that's kind of what it looks like. He's just kind of like skateboarding. He's going up half pipes.
Yes,
like that looks fun. Like I wouldn't go out of my way to buy it, but I definitely want to play it.
Yeah, the world looks so empty though in terms of people. The landscapes are beautiful and the backgrounds and stuff like that. The areas you go to were beautiful, but then when I was looking at it, it was just him the entire trailer.
Yeah,
so that kind of made me a little turned off. But the one that I wanted to really talk about was, I don't know, something about this trailer was like emotional. It's called Neva or Neva.
Yeah.
And it's the whole trailer is animated like a cartoon basically. And it's like a bird falls out of the sky, and then this woman, this like black woman, she meets this wolf, or the wolf is already her friend. And the wolf also has like antlers, so it kind of looks like it's like a fusion between two things, and it looks mythical. It's gigantic, first of all. But she ends up pulling out a sword, and they go fighting against like some forces of evil. And I think that the wolf ends up protecting her by sacrificing its life. And so there's like a really sad moment in the trailer with this.
Yeah, and then it's like, and then like the pup comes up and like she holds the pup. Yeah, it definitely was an emotional trailer. Like we don't know what the game is going to be necessarily.
Yeah,
but
it's 2024. I don't know what, like there was no gameplay shown as far as I could tell. But
it looked. I do agree that it looked intriguing. Like it definitely has my interest, and I want to see more of it. I like those games, like those indie games that have like
story driven,
those indie art styles, and but they tend, like for example, Celeste. I've talked about it a bunch. It's one of the best platformers ever made. It it very much looks like an indie game. It is an indie game. It has a surprisingly good story. Like it's just like about a girl who's depressed, and she goes to like this mountain, and the point is she wants to climb to the top of the mountain and like look the world from the top of the mountain, and she's like doing it as a way to like help deal with her depression, like to get out and do something. And so the platforming of the game is you essentially getting up this mountain, and then like other shit happens. But it's an awesome fucking game. Technically one of the best platformers I ever played, and then like the story is just really charming.
Yeah, again, I like those kind of games as well, as far as just watching them be played, not necessarily playing them myself, because again, I just have not been gaming as much as I used to. I basically pick and choose 2 games a year, maybe 3. And I like play those, and I play those pretty hard. Like this year for me was Octopath Traveler 2 so far. That's the game that I played the most. That's the game that I've come the closest to beating. I actually still haven't ended that game, but I already have like, it has to be like 60 plus hours on that game. So I really played that game. You know what I mean? I've gotten my characters all to like level 80 something. There's only 99 levels. I got every single job class. I got all the ultimate weapons. So only thing I have to do now is go around and complete the characters' individual stories. I did a couple of them, but there's 8 characters, so there's like a couple more to do. And then eventually, I'm sure like every other Square game, you do all of the stories, you beat a final boss, but then there's a real final boss after that. That's like, you know, this is the real final boss, just like Octopath 1 basically. So I need to go through and do that, but I haven't really played anything else. I still have to play God of War Ragnarok. I'm not sure where I'm at in that game. Last time I played it was literally last year. It is now June, basically. So I have not played that game. I've not turned my PS5 on in 2023. That is an actual fact. The system has been on my desk and has not been turned on intentionally. I did accidentally turn it on one day because I touched the controller. I have not intentionally turned my PS5 on in 2023 yet. And that is crazy to me. I spent over $600 on the system.
That's a problem. So one thing watching the showcase is there's a couple games I was like, that looks pretty interesting. And then like to kind of skip ahead, and then let me just look at real quick. Let me just go through.
Well,
actually,
before about this Foam Stars game, because this is basically
okay, hold on. So let me just say this. So first of all, the Talos Principle, that looked interesting, but whatever, moving on. I think Neva does look really cool.
Yes.
Cat Quest is a series that's already out. I think it looks interesting, but I've never played it. Okay, Foam Stars. First of all, the name of that game is horrible. I think Foam Stars is a terrible name. It reminds me of PlayStation All Stars. Yep. There's something I'm going to bring up later, and I know this game's made by Square, but there's something about Sony that annoys me when they say things like they're bringing innovative experiences to gaming and they just copy Nintendo. It's just like whatever.
Yeah.
But Foam Stars, that trailer starts and you see some of the most generic anime characters I've ever seen in my life. Right? Super generic anime characters. That one girl, there's going to be tens of thousands of porn of her. But that aside, the trailer starts and then like you said, it's just a fucking Splatoon ripoff. They're just Splatooning around in the trailer. But then I'm like, okay, like this could still be cool, I guess. Yeah. They show the actual gameplay, and it might be the most low budget mobile phone game I've ever seen in my life.
I was going to say to you, did it give you phone?
So low.
It gave you mobile vibes, right?
Yes, it looked so fucking low budget. Like it looked like a cell phone game, like a really
how when you scroll Instagram and eventually you find a game that looks like it just has that mobile game to it, and it's not a real game either. It's just like a fake game on Instagram.
Yeah, it's just like an ad, like a game, because like they know that you're a gamer, and so they send you some fucking fake ass game ad.
Yeah, like Vagrants of Aster or something. It'll be like. It'll just be the most generic looking anime. When you said generic looking anime characters, that's exactly what I thought. And I said, this looks like something that if I was scrolling Instagram after about 10 posts, I will come across an ad for a video game that's not a real game. And it'll be like Vagrants of Aster, the most exciting new RPG. You have to get on the action. And it'll just be like, everything about it is just generic reskins of other games.
Dude, that's exactly what this shit is, man.
Yeah,
and
it's a reskin of Splatoon.
The thing is, it is literally that. It's fucking Splatoon, and it's just.
It's shameless, but it also, too. It's a shameless.
Oh my god!
It is a shameless ripoff.
It looks so fucking bad, man. I don't know who got Square Enix to make this game, but Square, you gotta just stick to the good shit, man.
I will say this. I've become used to Sony and whoever is leading their, development division, copying Nintendo and failing miserably. Because if you think about it in the past, there were Smash ripoffs that came out back in the day, and they would be like Cartoon Network or whatever.
Yeah, Cartoon Network 1. There was
on PlayStation. There was a PlayStation 1 literally with like all the PlayStation characters basically, and they would all be fighting like Kratos and Crash Bandicoot, etc. And those games always failed, right? Like they were always bad. They never compared to Smash in any kind of way. They never really had a real competitive scene. No one really picked them up, and they just fade off. Just like every other Smash platform fighter that came out in the last like 2 years that also we don't hear about at all anymore. Like they're all just dead because none of them have the essence of Smash. And even if that's just simple as the physics or the hit confirms, the way they feel and sound, like Smash is just so refined at this point. And even going back to Melee, like I think just like the sound of hit detection and the gravity of hits in Smash feels so much better than every one of these rip-off games that have come out from these other developers. They just don't quite get it right.
It's a very difficult balance to get, and PlayStation All Stars did not get that balance. And this Foam Stars game is also like, this game is going to be, and so I heard about this game before I saw the PlayStation showcase. I was streaming one day, and somebody like linked it in chat. And then so me and Bill watched it, and Bill was like, this game's gonna be dead in the water. He was like, every time somebody makes a game that's a blatant ripoff of another game, like it's just like a dead in the water. Like week one, every streamer will play it. They'll be like, get the views for week one, and then the game absolutely nosedives off a fucking cliff.
Just tanks.
Multiverses was the biggest game on the internet the week it came out, and now the game's fucking out of service. They literally don't, like, the servers just aren't up anymore. Like, the game's done. Yes. Multiverses is out of service. Like, that game's done. Like, the game's just done.
Yo, so I didn't know if I was talking on my ass a little bit a second ago when I was like, all of the platform fighters that have come out in the last 2 years are just like dead. But like, you're telling me literally the game is like out of service. Like, that shit is decommissioned.
Yes, it is done. Like, you can't play the game anymore. Like, you
definitely can't play it with people. Like, that's for damn sure.
Well, you couldn't play it with people when it was online. So.
I had no idea. I literally just realized that I hadn't seen it talked about or on YouTube anywhere in over 6 months. And to me, that's just like a dead game. Meanwhile, Smash Ultimate is out here thriving, despite the fact that Smash Ultimate had probably the worst year of a Smash game since Melee, like early days. Like 2022 was really bad for Smash Ultimate because a lot of sponsors, a lot of companies had announced that they were shutting down. The Smash World Tour at the end of the year did not happen. That was a really big deal. It was really depressing for like the whole.
And all through 2023, there's been a lot of bad news. But even through all that bad news, the Smash community fucking survives. Like, it just keeps moving.
There were 3 events this past weekend. There was MomoCon, there was Combo Breaker, and there was one more. And all the top players went to all three of them, right? Like, they were spread out across all of them. And there was like a 10K pop bonus at one, a 5K pop bonus at another, and a 7K pop bonus at another. So these games, like Smash, despite all the shit that happened in 2022, and even some of it happened in 2023, like Tweak and MKLeo got dropped by their sponsors, and they got picked up by Luminosity. So now those two are on the same team now and stuff. And like, there's just a lot going on that was negative, but somehow even still, the community just went back to like, okay, well, we'll just take care of ourselves. Like, we don't need these big time companies to come in that like, no, they're only here for the profit or whatever. If they get out of it, it's fine. Like, we can do this on our own, and it's still just surviving. But yeah, these mockery versions of Smash, they come up and they have these big prizes at first, right? Because that's always the lure. They'll be like, LeBron James is in the game, Arya Stark's in the game, and then the tournament is $100,000 tournament, and it's like, that's great to get like the people who just want to win some money, but these games have no soul.
Yeah, the physics of that game was just not it. Like, it was just unfortunate because it had a pretty cool cast, but even the cast wasn't the best. But it did have a cool cast. Like, there was a lot of characters in there that I was like, I want to play that guy.
Yeah, I want to play Bugs Bunny, and then apparently he was actually like absurd.
The way the game plays, like, it was just like, it's just not clean. I need all of these fucking ripoffs to just like, I don't know, go look at Melee and like use that as the starting board.
Yes.
Because that's the game that survived 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So use that as a starting board. And then, because Melee's not perfect, take some of the ideas, the advancements that have come through the years, even in Brawl to Smash 4 to Smash Ultimate. Like, actually look at the fucking games and really understand them before making one. Because just fucking making platforms and having your guys jump around is not doing it.
100%. So yeah, seeing these rip-off, like, again, this all goes back to the Foam Stars conversation as well. We're even on this tangent right now, but
yeah, that game's going to be fucking DOA.
Yeah, that's just crazy that I learned at this very moment that that other game, I don't even know what it's called, but that shit is decommissioned. That's funny.
So I'll say this: the first game,
that's what it was,
and this is definitely just like some Kenny shit, but I think there's probably a lot of other people too. The first game that got me super excited, because I really like that Phantom Blade Zero game. I do think that looks cool, but it's not like I'm not running out of my seat for it. Like,
yeah, man, you don't really play those. Like, we don't play Ghost of Tsushima and stuff like that. It's not. Yeah, we can respect that those games look cool and they're probably amazing, but we don't personally like play those games.
But this next game, the Plucky Squire, legit, I got fucking hyped for this game. So it starts. Yeah, it's so cool looking to me. It starts off as like a little storybook. Like you're in
Yes.
a storybook and your guy and like your party members are like walking around inside a storybook and it's like an RPG or whatever. And then at some point you leave the storybook and you're like in a kid's room and like you're going through like Legos and inside like doll houses and like you're fighting roaches and shit.
Yeah. And it
Because
becomes
like
3D.
yeah, it becomes a 3D game in the kid's
With
room and you go
completely different graphics and everything.
yeah. And it's like you're a 3D game, different graphics, running around in a kid's room, and then like you go back in the storybook. And I was like, this game looks fucking like this game looks like it has soul. Like
Yes.
the opposite of a lot of the other games that me and Fraser both felt like were really soulless.
Yes.
This
That's
game
my
looks like
problem.
it has a lot of fucking soul. Regardless of whether or not it'll be a game for you, it's a game that when you look at it, you go, oh, whoever made this game cares about it. Like this
Yeah.
game looks fucking like they care about
It
it.
looks like somebody's passion project type thing. Like somebody
Yeah,
somebody
so-
dreamed of making that game for a very long time. And it's not just a cash grab or anything like that. It's a game that's well thought out and it's something unique that I haven't seen before. The other game, I'm going to skip ahead a couple of games because after the
Yeah,
Funky
yeah.
Spire is like Teardown, and then there's Metal Gear Solid.
Game looks like shit.
Correct. Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater and all that stuff. I mean, Metal
We
Gear Solid
talked
looks,
about that.
it looks cool. But then the one that got me, it reminded me of Dark Cloud, the game from a long time ago. This game called Towers of Gaspa.
Mhm.
So it just looks, because you end up building your towns and stuff and the ecosystems, it looks like you basically set them in motion. And like, it gave me Avatar vibes, kind of like the Blue People Avatar. I mean, in the sense that it's like this foreign world with all of this new ecology. And then the main character, he goes around doing like some kind of farming type stuff, right? But it doesn't look like a farming sim at all. It looks
Yeah.
way more epic than that. Like he's flying through the skies and stuff.
As far as I can tell, like you're literally rebuilding the earth or some shit.
Yes. Which
And
reminds
it
me
looks
of Dark
really,
Cloud.
really fucking cool in that regard. My only complaint with this game is that a lot of the main characters, like movements and modeling, looked kind of janky to me.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know much about this game except it does look fucking epic.
Yeah.
But I'm worried that it's going to have kind of like, I think it's like I don't know who's making it. I don't know the studio. I think it's probably a really ambitious indie studio though. Like when that one game came out, No Man's Sky. When No Man's Sky came out,
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't think people realized, I didn't know at first. I don't think people realized that was an indie studio. That game was shown and presented like was this huge AAA game. That game was made by like 22 people, which is extremely fucking small.
Yeah.
And they promised and showed things that they couldn't deliver on. And so when the game came out, the game was not at all what everybody thought it was going to be. And so this game, it looks fucking epic, but some of the animations made me feel like this might just be like an indie studio. And so I want to see more of it and see what actually happens when it comes out. Because it looks like it'd be a fucking blast. I just, hope that it actually is and it's not like a No Man's Sky type scenario.
Agreed. All right, moving right along. We have Final Fantasy 16 has yet another trailer. So this game is officially coming out, I believe, June 22nd, something like that. So it'll be out at the end of June. I'm very happy because Kenny has Tears of the Kingdom right now. I do not play the new Zelda games, so I have really nothing to play outside unless I want to go back to like playing God of War, which right now I just don't have the motivation to do so. But Final Fantasy games bring out something in me. Like I said, the only game I played this year really was Octopath Traveler because I'm a sucker for RPGs. I can't help it. Like,
Yeah,
I
man.
love RPGs. I love turn-based RPGs, and I also happen to love action RPGs as well. Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of my favorite games, and this game looks fucking amazing. Like, I'm just hoping to God that it doesn't suffer from what happened to Final Fantasy 15, and I don't think it will. But Final Fantasy 15, for people who don't know, the problem with that game was that they released it when it wasn't finished, and it was blatantly unfinished in the sense that the story was missing chunks of it that came out later, and I mean much later, as DLC content. Like, character development stuff about each of the four main characters, stuff about your father, stuff about your upbringing. There's like a time skip in the actual Final Fantasy 15 game that they don't really explain when you play the day one version of it, but then like a year later they fill in a whole chunk of story, and that really made me mad because I actually liked Final Fantasy 15, but I could not bring myself to I couldn't justify the storyline to anyone. I couldn't justify honestly anyone paying for the game because I was like, do not buy this game. Like, it's not good.
Like, you had fun with it, but there were so many issues that allegedly, did you ever go back and play it after it got fixed?
Nope. Because I'm one of those people that once I move on, once you give me a bad experience, even if you correct it later, I just feel so disrespected that you took my $60 plus tax gave me something
Yeah.
that was incomplete, and then later, like, and I mean, again, much later, it wasn't like I played the game for probably like a good 2 or 3 months straight, and I was waiting for like something to come out. By the time it came out, bro, it was literally like 8 months to a year later. Like, I'm
Yeah,
done.
that's
I'm done with the game.
so I'll say this. I don't think, obviously, I could be wrong. I don't think 16 will have that problem because 16 wasn't in dev hell. The problem with
Correct.
15 is that it was in dev hell for a decade.
Yeah.
It started off as a Final Fantasy 13, and then 14 came out, which is an MMO, and then finally that game came out as 15. Switched directors. Tetsuya Nomura was no longer the lead director, and
Mhm.
the whole shebang of 15. So I think it was in dev hell for such a long time, and pretty much every game that's ever been in dev hell has released mediocrely. That one, I think Duke Nukem game was in dev hell, and when it finally came out, it sucked. FF15 was in dev hell, had a bunch of problems. Cyberpunk 2077 was in dev hell, finally came out and fucking had a shit ton of power. Yeah. So, whenever a game's in dev hell, you should never be excited for when it actually comes out because there's going to be a problem. But anyway, FF16, here's the thing with this game with me. Every time I see a trailer for this game, I go, oh my God, this game looks so good. This game looks so fucking fun
really
and sick to me. Not this trailer, but the last trailer I saw where it showed that you play through this game with this guy's life. Like you play as a teenager, as like a 20-year-old, and then like as a late 30-year-old or something. I was like, this looks fucking awesome. The gameplay looks awesome. Everything about this game has me excited, but I'm also not excited at all. And that reason is just simply because I don't have a PS5 and it is just nowhere in the budget or plans for me to get one. So like, I know I'm not playing it day one. So it's just like,
what, this is not
so
coming out on PC. Is it exclusive? I don't know.
Actually, I don't know.
Let me see. Final Fantasy 16. I'm just gonna Google real quick. PC.
If it is coming out on PC, I probably do need a new graphics card though.
Yeah, and I'm gonna play it on PS5 because I need a reason to actually use mine. But it says if you're hoping for Final Fantasy 16 to come to PC as soon as the exclusivity window for PS5 ends, producer Yoshida has some bad news for you. Uh-oh, this is not good. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not gonna read this whole article, but it says like, yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm going to get a PS5. I just haven't had any big incentive to do so. Yeah. And
so there's an exclusivity window on it, which I think that's what a lot of people have been doing in terms of just to sell consoles, which is what's going to happen with Monster Hunter, right? That's just going to come out on just like PlayStation and Xbox for probably a year, like literally a year, and then it'll come on PC, which is so obnoxious.
That's what they did with Street Fighter 5. It was exclusive to PS4 for like a year before it came out on PC, and I don't think it ever came out on Xbox. But yeah, FF16, everything about this game, I'm like, when I can't wait when I actually do play it. I don't know when that's going to be though, because that's the other thing. By the end of June, I'm still going to be playing the new Zelda game.
Yeah,
and like I'm not cutting that game short. Yeah, like I'm not cutting that game short. Like there's still so much. I've progressed the story a lot more since the last time I talked about it, but there's still a absolute metric fuck ton of shit to do, and like I'm still loving every minute of it. So I don't have a PS5. I'm not gonna rush out to get it, and yeah. But that said, every fucking trailer I see of this FF16 game, I'm like, oh my God! If I did have a PS5 and if Zelda wasn't out, I'd be creaming my fucking jeans right now.
And that's where I'm at right now because I just need something like that to play. Like the main character, I hate his name, Clive, but he looks.
I actually kind of like that name. But
okay, maybe it'll grow on me, but right now I'm not a fan. But he looks cool. You have him as the background for this episode.
Yeah.
And honestly, just looking at him standing there with that fucking buffed ass arm, with Ifrit's arm, I guess, and that sword, the cape,
he's nasty looking.
He looks insane. And I like the fact that you play as basically Ifrit's, like, I don't know, Eidolon dude or whatever. It's just really cool. You just look insane.
I also like what I understand from the story based on the trailer, and that every Final Fantasy game has something to do with crystals, right? It's just like a motif of Final Fantasy. And I like what the crystals are in this game is like you're destroying the crystals. Like that's what we found out in this trailer, at least. I don't know if it got revealed somewhere else, but you're going around and it's like the crystals, like we've been tied to the crystals for long enough. And it's like you're going, and something that probably won't happen, but what would be kind of cool is if this game marked like a change and like FF17 just had nothing to do with crystals because like 16 they destroyed all the crystals. I don't know, but I think it's really cool. Like I like the motif and idea and like the switch on what they're doing with the crystals. They're destroying them and like the crystals have been like taking more resources from the earth than they're actually giving, and destroying the earth. And people didn't realize it or something like that. I don't fully really know.
We don't know the full storyline, but I have done a lot to not dive too far into whatever people have mind about the game or know about it already.
I don't know any of that shit.
Like, I'm trying my best to. I didn't even know that we were destroying the crystals. If I'm being completely honest, like, I'm just kind of like.
Well, I mean, it was in the trailer. I was just saying what was in the trailer. I'm sorry.
When I watch these trailers for games that I'm going to play, for some reason, I kind of cut my brain off a little bit and just look at the visuals. And that is just because, like, just like you, when it came to that Zelda trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, I just feel like too much was given. Like,
there was a lot given in that fucking Zelda trailer.
Like Ganon blatantly saying, like, you know, this is the revival of the King of Darkness, whatever. I'm just like, bro, like, that's such a big deal. And like, they showed him, you know what I mean? Like, Ganon looks different in every game. Like, he looks different in every single game. And Tears of the Kingdom, obviously, he looks different than he's ever looked in any other game before. But like, there's a lot in that trailer was like 4 minutes. And the Final Fantasy trailer, not the one that was in the showcase, but there was one that came out like a couple weeks ago. We covered it, and that one was long as hell. And it showed so much.
It did show, dude. It showed so fucking much.
It showed so much.
They go ham on these trailers, but I think, I don't know. I'm pretty interested in this game. I don't know when I'm going to
play it regardless. Don't get me wrong.
It's so fucking cool.
I'm going to day one play it. I'll probably stream. I'll probably stream my day one playing, just because. So whereas God of War, I actually did stream God of War Ragnarok when I first started it. And then I just started playing the game by myself, just without actually streaming it. But Final Fantasy, I'm going to play it without actually giving up on it out of nowhere, because it's a Final Fantasy game, and I just don't do that to those. So I'll be like consistently playing it. Now, whether or not I'll be consistently streaming it is a different story. But at least the day one, like when I first crack it open or whatever, or download it, I guess, when I first download it and like play it, I'm going to take a week off of work. I will fully.
Dude, that's what I did with Zelda, man. I took off that week, and I was just like, I told them, and I did. In case anyone's listening, I told them I had to go to New York for an important thing. And I did go to New York, okay? Just in case anyone's listening.
Yeah. No, good choice.
And Connie had to go to a wedding.
Oh, okay. In New York?
No, she went to Vegas.
Okay. But whatever. Like, as long as you take your week for a game that you really, really care about and that you're really going to play hardcore, I think that's one of the best things we could do as adults, because it's hard managing actual life with being a gamer. Like, it's just, it's a lot. And then me and you are content creators on top of that. And so it's a lot, but we figure it out. Like, the games that I really want to play and beat and all that stuff, I eventually always do. Like, I'm going to eventually play through and beat God of War Ragnarok, just like I did with 2018. And when I finished 2018 and I revealed that Atreus was actually Loki, and like, everything about that game, when I look at the whole picture of it, I was like, this is one of the best games I've played, like, period. Every time there was banter in that game, right, between you and Atreus and Mimir, the little head on your shoulder, or not on your shoulder, on your waist, every time there was banter, and it would like stop when we get to a little, like, when I dock, me as a person, like, I chose to dock right now, and then they would stop talking, like, let's continue this discussion later, and then I would get back on the boat later on, and they would continue and pick up. I'm like, that's mind-blowing to me. Like, that is fucking mind-blowing to me. So it's such a good game, and I'm going to go back to it, but because of when it came out in November. November for me is not only my birthday, but it's also Thanksgiving, and then right after that is Christmas. So essentially, a game that comes out in November is always going to be hard for me because of how much time I spend with family and friends. I did my birthday, Thanksgiving, Friendsgiving with you guys in New York, and then right after that, it was like, okay, I have to get a bunch of work done at for my actual job, because we're all going on Christmas break and New Year's. And then once the New Year started, it was like, I haven't played this game in 2 months.
You're on the new shit. Yeah, November, I think, was the same time Pokemon came out, and we were all fucking glitching out.
Yeah, you guys were glitching out literally on the big screen. Like, I got to watch you guys glitch out on the big screen.
Fucking,
oh my
god,
that
game was not in the running for Game of the Year. I'll tell you that. I do think though. And granted, FF16 is not out, so I don't know. But this year's Game of the Year, like last year was Elden Ring and God of War. This year it's going to be between Zelda and Final Fantasy for sure. Which is definitely like that's a great
that is a great fight for gamers. That is a great year.
That's a heavyweight fight right there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess last year was also because Elden Ring was like outrageous. Yeah. I know people. Like,
the thing about that though, Elden Ring was outrageous, but even though it is like from the people that make the Souls games, Elden Ring was a new property, so it's not like,
okay,
what I'm saying is that like Final Fantasy and Zelda is like a story. They're both storied properties
before we were born.
Yeah. So they're like they're up at the ring next, and it's like, oh
Like Zelda and Final Fantasy predate our ability to play games.
Yeah, so
Like
that's
we're
gonna be
not-
dope. That'd be a dope time.
Yeah, that's really cool. I agree though. I think that game of the year will definitely be between those two, and probably some random game that we never even heard of that'll be fucking running. And we're like, what is this nonsense that everybody like? I see one of the trailers that I don't want to go through literally every single one of these because we're so far behind.
Yeah. Some of them are just trash. Like,
yes, let's be real. But like I saw Dragon's Dogma 2. And that game, even though I've never played Dragon's Dogma myself, my best friend from my childhood.
Bro, I'm with you. I've never played Dragon's Dogma, but that game looks so sick.
When I say
I
it
just
looks
never played
amazing, it just looks like another like Elden Ring game, but those games always look amazing. It looks like Oblivion, it looks like Elder Scrolls, it looks like what's that, Skyrim. Like it has that vibe to it. And I just know that game is also probably going to be in a conversation if it's good. Like it just has that. It has the essence of a Grammy Oscar darling, right? Like
yeah.
You know, whenever this kind of game comes out, it's going to be a darling of the awards. So I could see that game also being in a conversation. But then Street Fighter 6 is coming out. I know that's a big deal. That's coming out very soon.
I hate how bad the created characters look. That's how it is like in every game, I feel like. But
yeah.
I hate the way the created characters look. And people on the internet's not doing us any favors. Every created character I've seen on the internet looks nonsense. But Street Fighter 6 actually, as somebody who's played like every Street Fighter and who did not like Street Fighter 5,
a lot of people did not, from what I understand.
Street Fighter 6, I'm kind of like, I don't know if it's just because every girl in that game's got a fat ass, but I'm kind of interested in Street Fighter 6. Like it looks fucking dope. And it's coming out on everything, I think, at the same time. It's not exclusive. I think it's coming out on everything day one. But Street Fighter 6 does look sick. I was watching Justin Wong do Cammy combos on YouTube. And
because the beta came out last week, I think.
Yeah. And it looked dope. Like Cammy combos look fucking sick.
Cammy has always been amazing to me.
Yeah. So Cammy looks even nicer. I love her redesign too. I think her design looks real. I heard people are fucking stupid. People are bitching that she's, I don't know. I'm not even, people are dumb. Cammy looks sick. I love her redesign. Her outfit looks sick. Drill. And yeah, Street Fighter 6 looks dope. I think people need to get more creative with their created characters. But well,
that's dependent on if the game allows you to, right?
Oh, the game lets you fucking anything.
Okay.
It's like a very in-depth like create mode. Like you can do a lot.
Well,
Cheyenne's character looks sick as hell.
Me and you are notorious for staying in the character creation screen for a very long time.
My first, like, no exaggeration, 2.5 hours of Monster Hunter Rise, maybe 3 hours, was in the character creation screen, just making sure it was exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And bro, I wanted to kill myself when I was like, all right, I'm done. And then it was like, all right, now you got to make a cat and a dog. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's wild. And
I didn't know how to do all this.
Come to find out, you can just customize most of the options anyway once you get into the game.
Yeah,
it's like at any point you can just change your hairstyle. You could put fucking shit on your face. You could change a lot of stuff.
They should just let you change everything. Like I hate that you can't change your voice unless you like pay $3. Like
yeah, I mean they did give us the voucher tickets, which I never ended up using. Like I could have changed my character a different gender, and you go back to the original character creation screen. Like you can completely go back. You can keep your gender and do it as well. But I do like that was a thing. They gave us like I think I have 2 of them on my file. It just has like 2 vouchers.
Yeah, just enough for you to try something different and then go, I want to go back.
Yes, which is honestly when you put it that way, I like that. Because that's honestly when you play Monster Hunter, you're going to be covered in armor most of the time anyway. So you probably only need to change yourself to the opposite gender to see the armors and see how much you like them. And then after a while, you're like, okay, do I like these armors more, or do I just want to go back to being whatever I was originally? And if they thought about it like that, I think that was really well done, because that is how I feel about it now that you said it. Like that makes perfect sense. Like enough to just go to something else and then come back. Yeah, that's actually perfect. It would have been cheesy if they only gave you 1 and then like you need to pay to get back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though that would probably be in their best interest, because a lot of people would switch and then they would realize, I don't like being a girl. I don't like the girl armors. I'm gonna go back. And
I want to go back, or vice versa.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I want to speed run a couple things. Alan Wake 2, I never played the first one, but it was a game I always wanted to play. I actually am really interested in Alan Wake. But I've never played it.
Same.
Assassin's Creed is a game that every single time, and by every single time I mean like twice a year, because there's an Assassin's Creed is like Madden. Every time I see Assassin's Creed, I go, this game looks so fucking fun.
Yeah.
But every time I've played an Assassin's Creed, I'm just kind of bored. So I don't know. I hope this game's better. I've never played
one, but my one friend Thomas, it's like his favorite game when we were younger, and he swears by them. He plays them. He 100%s them. He does all the cool stuff that you can do. I never played them though, but they look very cool. Like they always look cool, even back when I was a kid. But it just doesn't speak to me. I always, instead of playing that, when that would be out, I would just play Devil May Cry or God of War. So that
Yeah.
like, and I only had enough time or resources to play like one of those games, and it was always the other ones. So, yeah, that's just how I feel about Assassin's Creed. I'm sure that the games are fantastic. I know that they have historically been, reviewed and highly praised as good games, but I never really got into it. But this one does look amazing. The engine that they're running on, the city,
It does look insane.
the city looks so fucking good. Like it actually just looks. And when they zoomed out and you saw it was like it's your world, and they said the guy's name. I forget his name was, but when they zoomed out and showed the entire city that I guess is like your open playground, it just looked so developed, and it was living and breathing without you, which I love. So
yeah, it does look really good. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink looks cool. I like
that
Grand Blue.
so good to me, bro.
Yeah,
I was staring at it like, is this a Tales game? Is this what's that game called? The gotcha game, that Genshin Impact? I couldn't tell if it was Genshin Impact or a Tales game. It looked so good though.
So Grand Blue is a gotcha game in its own right. Grand Blue Fantasy is a phone game. The original one is a phone game, and then there's a fighting game called Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. And now, as far as I can tell, they're making like a real RPG for it.
Oh, okay.
And I've always liked Grand Blue. Like I like the characters and shit like that. I think it looks cool. There's also an anime, but I haven't seen it. I really like the characters. I've only really played the fighting game, and I think it looks sick. So anyway, yeah, they're making a real RPG as far as I can tell, and I was like, this game looks fucking dope as hell.
Yeah, it looks really good. It looks so much like a Tales game to me, and I like Tales games a lot, especially the older ones. So I don't know, maybe I'll give this a try. If Gary plays it, because Gary might play something like this. If he plays it and tells me that it's worth it, I'll play it. Because me and him tend to have the same.
Gary will probably play it.
Yeah, well, he knows my taste in things. Like Gary is.
I don't know if it's coming out on PC. He'll play it because, as far as I know, Gary doesn't have a PS5.
Right.
And he can't use yours because he's going to want for Gary to play it needs to be a hacked PS5.
It does need to be a hacked one, and I'm not letting him do that to mine. Not yet, anyway.
But the game looks sick. I want to just real quick say when they got to the VR section of the showcase, I was I wanted to go to sleep.
Hard pass.
That VR section, I was just like, dude, I do not care.
Pass. I don't know people who play VR games still.
I don't know a single person. When they showed the first game, and I was like, what is this? Like instantly, I was like, oh, is this a zombie game? And then it kept going. I was like, is this Resident Evil? And then I was like, oh my God, is this Resident Evil 4 in VR? I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I like Resident, and then Arizona Sunshine. Like, how are you going to first show Resident Evil 4, right? Which is a great game. I don't really care about the VR mode, but how are you going to show like the premier zombie game and then show Arizona Sunshine 2, which is like some shit zombie game? Like, how are you going to show the premier zombie game and then go, oh, here's another zombie game? Like, who the fuck cares?
And why is virtual reality so obsessed with zombie games? I've noticed that so many virtual reality games are obsessed with post-apocalyptic worlds.
Dude, as soon as the VR section started, I was like, oh, it's going to be a zombie game. Like, I just fucking, and then it was Resident Evil.
It's starting to become a little bit of a stereotype, I feel like, where virtual reality just equals another chance for you to be in a post-apocalyptic world where things are supposed to jump out and scare you. Because I guess they figure that's how you'll feel it's real when you jump in real life from something that seemed close to you because of the headset.
Yeah, it's whack.
But I'm not.
But there's some whatever here. And then just real quick, I never played Destiny, but I thought that trailer for Destiny 2, The Final Shape, whatever, I guess that's the next update.
Yeah.
I thought that looked fucking awesome. I don't know anything about Destiny, but I thought that looked fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's a shooting game that's very popular. That's really all I know about it as well, but it did look good.
I think I honestly was asleep during I did not know there was a Gran Turismo movie trailer. I think I might have fell asleep at that part.
Yeah.
I completely missed that.
I don't even watch Fast and the Furious. Like, I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie, so I'm not about to go see Gran Turismo. I'm just not. I'm not going to lie to myself. I'm not going to pretend. Maybe if we do like a bad movie night and this movie gets like a 28 on Rotten Tomatoes, that'd be great because then that will give me incentive to watch it. But if it does if it gets like a 60 or 70, which means like it's okay.
If it's an okay movie,
I'm not watching it.
Fuck you.
Yeah, no, I'll pass. It needs to be horrible or actually just good, and that's the only like two options.
Yeah, no in between. Yeah. That reminds me of, we have a podcast episode called like I Want It to Be Terrible or something like that. But
I just want to have no parts.
Yeah, I just wanted to have no good parts when we were talking about the One Piece Netflix show,
Yeah.
because it's like I already know it's not going to be great.
Yeah.
I want it to be great. It won't be. I want it to be great, but
Well,
I
did
already
you
know it's
hear?
not going to be great. But I really don't want it to be middling. I want it to be just be absolutely
Yes,
fucking
atrocious.
horrible.
So we can all watch it as a group,
Yes, that
and
way
we
I can
will
at least
die laughing. Like
Yeah,
I
that way
want it
I
to
can at
be
least laugh.
garbaggio. I don't want it to be like, oh, well, they did that kind of well, didn't they? Like, no, I want it
Yeah,
to
I don't want
be.
to give it. I don't want to give it any excuses.
Yeah, I want it to be unapologetically bad. Did you hear though that Oda is not giving his consent on them actually releasing it until it is exactly how he likes it?
Interesting. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. So I've heard that until it is good enough for him, it will not come out. And I'm hoping that that's true and not just some like internet drivel, because
I just
we
feel
know
like
it's basically
he's
gonna
such
be
a
bad.
busy man, and he also lives in another country. Like I just
Yes.
can't imagine. Like at the end of the day, I don't know. At the end of the day, I just can't imagine Arlong's going to look good
Yeah.
if he's even in it.
Maybe but I'm just hoping that the licensing agreement that they have with Oda or whoever owns the rights to One Piece, I'm hoping that they are being very serious in the negotiations when they were like, okay, you can do this, but it has to be like to our standard. And when they presented the first 10 episodes or whatever, and it was just like trash, he's like, oh, well, no. Like, I don't care how much you spent on this already. I don't care what you did. Like, the answer is no. You got to go back to the drawing board and redo this. Like, this is not good. This does not capture the essence of my manga.
I hope. But you want to move on to Sony's next Foam Stars example?
Yes. So one of the biggest things that came out, and I actually called this years ago on this podcast.
You did?
Literally, I said to Kenny, and like this is again, it's not like some crazy take or anything, but years ago, we're almost 2 years in. So over a year ago, I remember saying to myself that the natural progression to me in next gen consoles is going to be them all having a Switch. Like every next gen console is eventually going to have some kind of system that you can dock, and it has better graphics and all this other stuff, and is compatible with the games that are on the full version of the console. And that's what Sony announced at this PlayStation State of Play. They literally have copied the Switch and they've made their own version of it. It looks like a Switch. It has basically two Joy-Con things on the left and the right. It has an 8-inch screen. And they said that you can stream your games from your PS5, and it has all the it has all the stuff that your controller can do when you're playing a PS5, with a regular monitor. You can do all of that stuff when you are playing it in its, mobile mode. But it is literally a Switch. It is literally a PlayStation version of the Switch. I knew this was coming. I didn't know how fast, but as soon as the floodgates opened with that, what was that system? The Steam Deck?
Steam Deck. Yeah.
So as soon as the floodgates opened with the Steam Deck, I knew it was only a matter of time before every gaming developer makes their own version. Apparently, there's also Asus is making their own Switch as well. I think it might already be like out this year or something like that. But yeah, Asus also has one.
They all love to try to dunk on and talk shit on Nintendo. And then at every goddamn turn, when Nintendo innovates something, they're like, yeah, it's a fucking, I want to say they suck, but I'm going to do it too.
Yeah. So that's what's happening. They actually show God of War being played on it. They show, I think, like other really powerful games being run on this mobile game system. And yeah, it looks like a Switch with just a PlayStation 5's controller split apart and put on the sides of it. That's instead of Joy-Cons, just imagine a Switch and just put cut a PlayStation 5 controller in half and put it on the sides, and that's what it looks like. And I don't really have much else to say because they didn't say much else about it either. They just kind of announced they were copying the Switch, and that was it.
Yeah, I got to see more. I mean, here's the thing. I fucking love the Switch. I think it's like the most convenient thing ever.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see, because there's little things that I think people, like if it's just a streaming device, like if you just stream your PS5 to it or whatever, I don't know. But
yeah, that's
I
not
gotta
really
see the full capabilities of it, because that's like not even the Switch, that's the Wii U.
Yes. I was thinking the same thing. Like if this doesn't have its own games that you can just play on this device and then dock it, and they will just like the resolution will go up.
Like there's little things that I think people aren't thinking about. Like one thing is, we talked about this, I don't remember what episode, but when Fraser's Electric went out and he was playing the Switch and his Electric went out and nothing happened because the Switch just thinks it got undocked, right? That's not going to really happen if it's just like I don't know, if it's just like a separate device that you can turn on. I was fully
playing Monster Hunter and all the power went out in my apartment, and the light, you know how when you de-dock your Switch, the light comes on the screen. So the only light in my room, because everything cut off, air conditioning, everything cut off, and the only thing that was lit up in my room was my Switch and in the dock. And I was oh shit, that's kind of cool. Like I'm still fighting Rathalos now. Granted, I have to hurry up and grab it out of the dock, but I'm fully still playing Monster Hunter
Yeah, you didn't lose your save or anything like that.
Yeah, like I didn't lose out on the plate or ruby or sky emerald that I was going to carve or whatever. Like everything was fine. And I thought that was really cool. Like I still have access to the system for a couple hours and hopefully power will be restored by then. But yeah, I don't really know. Like you said, there's a lot of little things that the Switch does. And the fact that the games made for Switch are made for the Switch. Like they're not made for the PS5 and then kind of made to stream onto this other system. It's not like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm interested. Like I said, one day I'm going to get a PS5, especially when the next Kingdom Hearts gets announced at some point. Like I'm going to that for me is like when I have to buy the console.
Yeah. I guess I would consider that, but that is a way that they can sell a lot of consoles. Kingdom Hearts is notoriously, it starts off on like PlayStation and stuff.
Yeah. And, when that happens, it's like, well, I got to buy. I have to. But until then, anyway, I'm going to get a PS5, and then if it looks good, because I like the Switch, so if they have a good Switch-like thing, I'll probably get it.
Yeah. But if it requires you to have a PS5 already, that's ass.
Yeah.
Like that is ass. I don't know how I feel about that. Unless this thing is not expensive. Like
it's going to be expensive.
I know
it's going to be like $500.
Yeah, it's Sony. But I'm just in my head, I'm thinking to myself, do you really think you're going to get a ton of people to drop $600 on a big console and then drop another $500 on this, like, I don't even know, like this miniature version of it? I just don't, I don't know. I don't see that. It could be as bad as the PlayStation 3's launch in my head, because right now people don't have as much disposable income as they once had. That is a fact. Mm-hmm. People are pulling back spending. It's actually one of the problems with the economy right now is that a lot of people are saving their money, and whenever people do not spend their money, the economy does not do well. So I don't know if right now is the time to release an expensive ass add-on to an expensive ass gaming console is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it all depends on what it does, how well it does it, and if games are going to be developed specifically for it, and not necessarily like, oh, I have God of War Ragnarok and I can play that on the go, I guess, that's cool. Don't get me wrong, that is a cool thing, but then don't you need an internet connection and all that stuff for that at that point? Like
that's the thing. Like I do wonder, and we'll find out eventually, but I do wonder, like, if I'm on my way to work and I'm in my Uber, can I use this system, or do I need to be able to be tethered to my PS5 in some way? Because if I can't take this, like if it's just tethered to my household, like what the fuck good is it?
Yeah, like that's the thing. The idea of a handheld device that I can only use in my home is a farce.
Yeah. Like what the fuck?
That is ridiculous. That is actually ridiculous. Like if I can't take it on a flight, because I fly a lot. If I can't take it on a flight, then like no. So I don't know. That's where I'm at with this. But they also made some AirPods just real quick, and I don't know. That was
Well, I got trolled by this last game. This last game's hype as fuck. But I'm gonna, before I say what the game actually is, I'm gonna tell you what I thought it was. I thought it was a Craven game. The game starts off and they're like hunting and shit. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, are they making like a full-on Craven game where like you hunt superheroes? Like, God damn, that's fucking awesome. And then it was still an awesome game, but just not what I thought I was getting.
Yeah, this game was fucking crazy.
It was Spider-Man 2, and it's still, I'm only like, it only sounds like I'm disappointed because I thought I was getting something else. But Spider-Man 2, this game looks fucking sick as hell. And the fact that you can switch between Peter and Miles is absolutely awesome. And they got the symbiote suit and all this fucking cool shit.
Like, it's Spider-Man. I was like, is it though? Like, you guys have to know that something is off, right? Like, the characters, they just start yelling out, oh, it's Spider-Man. I'm like, that doesn't look like regular Spider-Man. I'll be scared of him if he was in all black and had tentacles coming out, but go off.
Yeah, that game's going to be sick. The Spider-Man game and that Miles Morales game, which I think was like a DLC or something. I don't know. From what I heard, it wasn't a full game. I didn't get to play it.
Yeah.
I think it was only like 6 hours or something. I don't know. But both of those games are fucking top-notch games. I know Ant was streaming the first Spider-Man game, and he literally went to his neighborhood in Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
In the Spider-Man game. And like, it was like, obviously it wasn't perfect, but it was literally his neighborhood. Like, he could navigate it. Like, he could navigate his Brooklyn in that game. Really, and I was like, cool. That's fucking sick as hell.
Yeah, that's actually amazing. This game looks really cool. The fact that you can switch between the two characters is really dope. The fact that one of them has the symbiote suit is wild. And then Miles has all this advanced technology shit going on where he like electrocuted a bunch of guys. Then he did this uppercut and slammed the guy into a ground with all this electricity. I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but this looks insane.
Yeah, that game looks clean. That game looks really, really
and that is an exclusive. That is an actual PlayStation exclusive. So
yeah, the last 2 Spider-Man games have been exclusive to the PlayStation. They're not anywhere else. Like I think they're made by Sony, or I think they're made by Insomniac, but I think Sony is the actual Sony studio is a gigantic partner in the development of those Spider-Man games.
Yeah, and also Sony owns Spider-Man in general, don't they? Because the Marvel movies,
Sony just owns Spider-Man.
Sony owns Spider-Man, and they're not giving it away because they realize
they're not giving.
It's a fucking cash.
That's right. Sony just owns Spider-Man.
Yeah, Sony actually, like, I'm thinking about it, like, wait a second, Kenny, we know this. Like, Sony actually just owns Spider-Man.
They just fucking own that guy.
Like, out of all the Marvel characters they could have, they just have the best one. Like, they have.
They really do.
They have the one.
How they get the one that makes the most money? Like, how'd they get that one?
It'd be like if some other company owned Batman. Like, just Batman. Like, they don't own Superman. They don't own, like, The Flash. They own Batman. Like, just imagine Batman being owned by an outside company. Like, not DC, but, like, Batman's owned by someone else. So, yeah, Marvel does not
Nickelodeon owns Batman.
Yes, something like that. It's kind of funny. But yeah, Spider-Man is owned by Sony. So yes, this will be a PlayStation exclusive, just like the first one was. I don't know when this comes out, but I remember the first one was nominated for Game of the Year. It was Red Dead Redemption, I believe Fortnite, God of War, Monster Hunter World, and Spider-Man was in that conversation. And I remember everyone thought like, oh, Red Dead Redemption or God of War, and then it ended up being God of War that won that year. And then I wanted Monster Hunter World because at the time I hated that God of War game. I was like, this fucking game is terrible. Little did I know that if you put the difficulty all the way up, then yeah.
I mean, at the same time though, like, I mean, I haven't played Monster Hunter World, but I mean, I already know it's a great game.
Yeah.
Like, I still think that's a good game to be in competition for God of War.
Yes. Like, that is a feat in itself. To be in competition with that first Spider-Man game, which apparently is amazing. Like, it's actually just one of the best games. To be in competition with that, Red Dead Redemption 2, from what I understand, people who like that game, like, it's like a Grand Theft Auto, but Western.
Oh, that makes sense. Capcom was like, you know what? The next Monster Hunter game, you're going to be able to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then
yes. Look at, they were like, fuck that. We're not losing any more categories, right? The next one, we're going to be Kratos. Like, we're just going to be super strength with 2 claws on your arms that you can tether on the shit. But yeah, I'm excited for that Spider-Man game. I actually might just play it and just say screw it, even though I didn't play the first one, because it looks like you don't really need to play.
Yeah, you don't.
You could probably just play it independently.
You can just play it.
Yeah. So I need reasons to touch my PS5. I don't know when it's coming out though. I don't recall if they said in the trailer what the release date for Spider-Man is. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't know if they said either, but the game looks really good. Like, when I do get a PS5, I will have game. Like, I'm not going to be in a game drought. Like, I'll have games to play. I'll have FF16. I'll have Spider-Man. I'll have
eventually
God
Kingdom
of
Hearts
War.
will come out, hopefully.
Eventually Kingdom Hearts. Like, there's definitely games to play on it. I just right now I'm not pressed to get it.
Oh, okay, here's the end of the trailer. So, be greater together, and then it just says fall 2023. It's coming out this year. And the fall means that it will probably be coming out before the awards. So it probably will be in the conversation of Game of the Year, just like God of War was, even though it's coming out like the week of the awards or whatever, which is kind of annoying.
I think that's so stupid.
Yeah. It could come out in August, which is also fall. I think, I guess September is fall officially. It could come out in September, which is fine. But like, yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's kind of stupid if it comes out in November and the Game Awards are in November. It's like, bro.
Hold on. I actually feel like PS4, right? You know what? It might come out in September. Because when you said September, something dawned on me and I was like, I think the first Spider-Man came out in September. So I just looked it up. Yes, the first PS4 Spider-Man came out September 7th. Okay,
so they're going for that same date probably.
They might actually go for September to like, I don't know, just to do that.
And to give it more time. I feel like you just need more time to digest it. I just felt very strange about God of War being nominated for Game of the Year and it was out for literally, not exaggerating, it was out for a week.
I think it's weird too, because like you're nominating a game for Game of the Year, and like
the game wasn't out all year.
Half of the game is still spoilers for people.
Yes,
like, you know what I mean. Like, people haven't beaten the game yet.
Yes,
people have to go to work and shit. Like, and I think that gives it an unfair. On 2 ways, it makes it unfair. Either on one end, because it's like first week hype, it could end up just winning because it's first week hype, or on the other end, you end up shafting it from winning because not enough people had a chance to enjoy the game yet, and so you shaft it from its chance of actually winning.
Yeah, that's
like,
actually
both things are possible.
Yeah, and I would feel the same way if any game came out a week before the Game Awards. I don't care what it is and how much I like it. I would still be like, well, even if I beat it, I would be like, well, that's just still ridiculous, right? So, but yeah, Spider-Man hopefully comes out in September, gives it a couple months before it's up in the conversation. I know it will be one of the nominations just because the first one I know was. This one is probably just going to improve on that system and make it better.
Yeah.
So we could add that to it. So like right now, I in my little list, it's Tears of the Kingdom is probably number one, easy, just because that is a award show darling. And then you have Final Fantasy is another award show darling, and then you have Spider-Man and Dragon's Dogma. If that game is actually going to be good, and it does look like it is, that will probably be in the conversation as well.
I would say, honestly, most years I feel like the games up for Game of the Year are like whatever. If this year's like, if it's fucking Zelda, Final Fantasy, Spider-Man, Dragon, like that's a fucking lineup.
Yes, and that's,
like Dragon's Dogma, like
them, but yes,
yeah, like that's already a fucking
that is a lineup. Because last year I felt like it was literally just Elden Ring and what was it, God of War?
God of War, yeah.
But like,
and both of us didn't even think God of War should be there.
Yes, and the other games I just
It was
felt
too
bad
new.
for. The other games I just felt bad for because I was like, even if I played these games and like these games, I just know that they don't stand a chance against blockbusters like Elden Ring and fucking God of War, right? Like you're not, like an indie game is just not beating Zelda. Like, I'm sorry to say, but like I don't care how good it is, but like an indie game is just not beating the lore of Zelda. Right,
It's
like, and the game is like, it's not like it's just a Zelda game. The Zelda games are good. Like these Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are actually good Zelda games. They're not like, you know, Skyward Sword or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom might be the best Zelda game. So
it might be the best Zelda game.
It might be just actually be the best one.
It might be the best
period.
Whatever. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have it as the best one. I've said this for years, but Breath of the Wild I thought was arguably the best Zelda game. Like I fucking loved Breath of the Wild, but there was little parts of it that restricted me from saying like it is definitively the best.
Yeah.
1 week in the Tears of the Kingdom, I was like, this is the best Zelda.
This is probably the one.
Because I was like, it's literally Breath of the Wild plus 100. Like it's insane.
Yeah, they just improved upon it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Monster Hunter World to Monster Hunter Rise. I'm like, well, this is just the best Monster Hunter game. Like objectively, even if I don't necessarily like, even if I liked other Monster Hunter games more for whatever reason, for whatever personal biases I might have, right? I'm like, well, objectively though, if I look at everything and if I create a real rubric, like you go on like graphics, mobility, monster AI, difficulty, start with weapon design and like armor design. If I make an actual rubric and then we assign points to everything, I'm like, well, it would just win if I'm not being like,
even if it's not your favorite, because some can be your favorite, and also you could also know it's not the best.
Correct. And so that's how I feel like. But I was to ask you like quickly, what is your favorite Zelda game? Do you think?
So if we're not talking about like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, it would be Majora's Mask. Okay. I think Majora's Mask, and even still over Tears of the Kingdom, and honestly, basically over every game. Period. I think Majora's Mask has pretty much like the best side quest. But it has the advantage of the reason why its side quests are so good and its NPCs are so good is because the game is a 3-day cycle, and every minute of the game is mapped to every single NPC doing something every single minute of the game. Yep. They have schedules, they have places to go, things they're doing, like people they need to meet. And so the game is the most living, breathing game of any game you've played, because like every NPC has something to do, and it's really fucking cool. I would love to see a Majora's Mask like level of detail on its NPCs put on like a bigger game. And it's overall the feel, the theming of that game is just like, I just think it's fucking great. It's like my favorite. Wind Waker, like top 5 would be like Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, probably A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, and then like I don't know. I don't know. It's maybe Twilight Princess or something like that. It's all hard to say, but that list is now. But now it's Tears of the Kingdom, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, like A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, like whatever. That's
an insane list. So
like it's insane. Like Tears of the Kingdom, I do think is the fit, and Breath of the Wild is still a weird one because I think Breath of the Wild is better than almost every other Zelda game, sans Tears of the Kingdom, but. Especially now that Tears of the Kingdom is out, it feels like it's the hardest game to go back and replay because it is the only game in the series that I feel like is directly upgraded. Right. So like, whereas I think Breath of the Wild is better than Ocarina of Time. I can go back and play Ocarina of Time sooner than Breath of the Wild because there's no game that strictly upgrades Ocarina of Time, whereas like Tears of the Kingdom is just I mean, it's a strict upgrade on the fucking franchise. So
I was gonna ask you a question about Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know if I'm gonna just ask on the podcast now, and then you let me know if like you know about this or whatever. But I was wondering, so you know how there's like Nehru, Din, and Faeror and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari. I don't know how you say their name, but Ferrari. When I was a kid, I said the names how I read them. As a child, like I played Ocarina of Time, and in the beginning,
I'll tell you what. The only name I know I said right was Din. The other two, bro.
Like I say Nehru's Love, I say Ferrari's Wind, and I say Din's Fire. That's what I would say as a kid. Me and my best friend, we agreed that's what we were gonna say. But like, yeah, so I call it Ferrari's Wind, Nehru's Love, Din's Fire. But I was looking at like Tears of the Kingdom. I've seen a lot of stuff from it so far, and I noticed that Link is controlling everything like this green energy. And I was wondering if that had anything to do with that goddess, like the goddess Ferrari or whatever.
No, the green energy is like that's like Zonai stuff.
Oh, okay. The clan that's like alluded to a lot in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, but they're like they're alluded to, but they're like almost not even there, but they're alluded to. But yeah, the Zonai stuff is the green energy. What's super interesting about Din, Furore, whatever the fuck his name is, and Nehru, the three goddesses, they're the three goddesses that in the lore of Zelda created the Triforce.
Yeah, like Ferrari is like courage, I think. Like it's like the right side of the Triforce and all that. Yeah.
Courage, wisdom, and power. So they created the Triforce and everything. What's so interesting though is that the Triforce itself, the idea of it, and those three goddesses, at least where I'm at in Tears of the Kingdom and through all of Breath of the Wild, are not talked about at all. Like the Triforce isn't talked about at all in Breath of the Wild. And and I've done a lot of story in Tears of the Kingdom, and I haven't even heard that much. I haven't really heard anything about the Triforce in Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. But something that's super interesting is that in Breath of the Wild, there's these three dragons, Dinral, Farouche, and Nadra. And there's these
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Listen. The dragons do nothing in the story. It's so fucking interesting because they're there and like there's these three dragons, but in the story, they don't do anything.
That's wild.
And their
names though are so blatant.
Their names are blatant and like they're like the most mystical shit ever. When they're in the presence of you, the music completely changes to like Last Airbender music. It sounds so cool.
Oh wow.
And then in Tears of the Kingdom, though, still where I'm at, I don't have any real story relevance to these three dragons, but I kind of do. There's a hint, and it depends on what I read into that hint. I don't know. I got to see more, but the game is amazing.
Well, those names are blatantly inspired by those three goddesses that are like the cornerstone of every Zelda game ever, basically.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm fucking hype. I'm hype. Every time I play that game, that's all I do. All I do is play that fucking game. And, like, I try to do my responsibilities.
I mean, we're getting through it, though. You watched this hour and 15-minute PlayStation showcase. I did. You know, next week we got to figure something out, but we're doing it. Like we're still managing to.
We got some ideas. I mean, I still want to do the Matrix movies, but I want us all to watch those together.
Yes, I actually want.
Hopefully, maybe this Sunday.
This week we can do that for sure because I don't have plans this weekend as far as like I have plans Saturday, but Sunday I'm free. So Saturday I'm going to like a vintage clothing flea market type thing where you go buy like vintage clothing. It's just like a bunch of vendors selling like old t-shirts and old like pants, stuff like that. And I like doing that stuff once a year. It's out in Oaks, PA. It's like a big convention center. And so I'm doing that with Jalen. You know Jalen. I'm doing that with him. And so that's Saturday. And that'll only take like a couple hours of the day. And then we'll probably go out to eat. And then that'll be the end of that day for me.
Speaking of clothes, I want to see Fraser get this fit on Instagram. This fucking Clive fit. I could see you Instagramming that fit.
I could 100% do a look inspired by Clive from Final Fantasy 16. Speaking of which, though, so we have a Patreon exclusive for the month of May. So we're going to be recording that this week and dropping it very soon. And I'm pretty sure that the topic, I already told Kenny like the one I wanted to do because it was suggested by Dallas Bailey, who's a longtime patron of ours. Shout out to Dallas Bailey. But he asked me to do like just talk about, you know, fashion, clothes and stuff like that. And I finally feel like I have something to say I always have something to say about clothes. It's such a big part of my life and a big part of who I am and like things that I love. But now I feel enthusiastic about talking about it. Like before, I always felt like with this podcast, at the very beginning, people like even like Dale was asking, "Oh, you should do fashion because like you're a fashion guy." Clearly, like on your Instagram and stuff, like everybody knows you, like you're a fashion guy. But when we were first starting up the podcast, I wanted to establish that like we got to get all of the big nerd stuff down first, and clothes are not that. And so finally now I'm like, okay, we're at 100. This is the 150th episode right now, not including all the exclusive episodes on Patreon. So like we're like 170 plus episodes in or some shit like that. And and I'm like, you know, I finally feel like I want to talk about like just clothes and fashion stuff like that, and not only how I see it, but also just what's happening in the world of fashion and how trends have changed. Because like we're back to baggy now, and we've been back to baggy for like over a year. Skinny,
Let's go.
like tight clothes are basically out, especially tight pants. Like tight pants
Mm.
are done. Your pants.
I
should
told
just
you,
not
I
be.
was just ahead of the curve. That's all. I was just
You're like
ahead
my
of the
dad.
curve.
My dad, every like I don't know, 20 years, my dad is basically all his wardrobe becomes alive again because he
Mhm.
never stops wearing baggy clothes ever. He just always wears baggy clothes. But like obviously he looked crazy in the jerk era, like 2009 to basically
right.
like 2 years ago when everyone
I
was
need
wearing skinny
I want
jeans.
my balls to breathe. All right.
Yeah.
Y'all suffocating your balls, man. Let them free.
Everything has come full circle. You know, it only took over a decade, but everything's come full circle. So everyone's wearing baggy pants. All my pants are baggy. I hate wearing anything skinny. I have all my skinny clothes in a closet. And yeah, so it's a lot to talk about, and I'm really excited to talk about that. So we'll be dropping that episode for Patreon exclusively very soon. What else is there? Oh, so June will be the month that I'll officially be doing the first IMNerd podcast tournament and the first 24-hour stream. And it's perfect because I actually want to do the 24-hour stream when Final Fantasy 15 or 16 comes out. So 16 comes out June 22nd. Let me just see exactly what date. I'm going to take a week off of work. And it's also going to lead to the 4th of July. So it's perfect, right? Because the 22nd is a Thursday. So it's coming out on a Thursday. So I'll take off from like that Thursday to like the next Thursday or something. I'll figure it out with my job and everything.
Yeah,
But
because you're going to be playing it Wednesday night.
yes, I'm going to be playing it Wednesday night and then going into Thursday and then that whole weekend. So at some point, maybe that Friday, like the 23rd, I'll probably be doing a 24-hour stream. That means
You might have to take off from work Wednesday.
yes. Yeah.
Because if you're going to be streaming, if you're going to do a 24-hour stream, let's just say starting at 11:50 Wednesday night for midnight release Thursday, and then like if you were already up at work all day on Wednesday,
Yeah.
that might be tough.
So no, what I was planning to do, the 24-hour stream will start on a Friday and go into Saturday.
Oh.
Yeah, so I would already have been off work for that Thursday. And
Okay, so you're going to just play it when it comes out, stop the stream or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But
And
then you're going
then-
to come back and you're going to stream.
because the 24-hour stream is not going to be just Final Fantasy. I'm going to be playing Dueling Book. I'm going to have guests on like Stango, like you at some point can drop in. Whoever wants to be like, you know, and part of the conversation or whatever. And then it'll be like, oh, people want to play Smash too. And I want to play Smash as well. So I've seen you on your channel on Twitch. You've had, before you used to do like Thursday night fighting games. And you would just have like
people
people
fucking work on Thursday.
Yes.
Anyway,
so you used to have people play like
Thursday.
Smash with you and stuff. And I want to do that same thing where like people who are watching the stream can join in the lobby. I don't even know how that stuff works, but they can like come in the lobby and play.
Thursday night throwdown. It's awesome. We used to do like Dragon Ball Fighters and Smash, and we you just open a lobby, like a bunch of people can join the lobby, and then for Smash it like rotates. And what I would tend to do is I'd play for the first hour or two, and I would just sit on the bleachers and I would just let everybody else play, and I would just hang out and
I
like,
would just
they would just
commentate.
rock.
Because I'm gonna be not bored, but I'm gonna need constant content to stay alert for 24 hours straight, right? Like that, I'm gonna need constant stimulation. So it'll be fun though. Like the good thing is Stango and you are both people who are very nocturnal. You guys stay up very late, and so I'll have that. And
The only thing that sucks is just because for most of the hours of those days I'm at work.
Yes.
But I'm gonna try to drop in where I can.
Yeah, just a few hours or whatever, you know, just say hello and talk with me, rant with me. Like we got a rant for the people. But it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So that is officially scheduled, let's say for June 23rd, unless something changes. But that should be when I am doing the 24-hour stream. So that's my goal, is like it will start Friday morning, because I ideally want to end it Saturday morning. I do not want to start at night and then go into the next night. I in my head, I want to start like, I want to wake up, start streaming, and then like go into the whole day and then go into like the morning of the next day, like that. Like that's kind of how I wanna do it.
But we did I did a 24-hour stream when Smash Ultimate came out, and so that was like starting at midnight, and then also it ended up being like a 27-hour stream.
Wow.
Yeah, we went fucking nuts. And then so then it's like 3 a.m. when I finally end the stream, and then I'm just like, all right, I gotta go die.
All right, I'm ordering something that I'm hoping will get here in time. We will see, but I want to order something very funny for the stream that I think people will enjoy. It'll be like a minor cosplay, and I hope it gets here before the 23rd. So I'm gonna order it now, and I promise you, so that there'll be like a goal, like some kind of stream goal or something, where it's like, if we get this many subscribers, I will do this cosplay. And I imagine it would be fucking hilarious if I I want to send Kenny a screenshot of what I'm thinking. So I want to. I want you to see this because
did you ever see? Did you?
This is a fucking.
Did you
rant,
ever? Did you ever see Ant's cosplay?
No, I don't even know. But I want
Oh
this.
my
so,
god!
Oh, I want this so bad. That shit is going to be hilarious. Like it's going to be fucking hilarious. Oh, you see?
Before we end, I'm about to look at this. Let's see.
Oh, it's so bad.
See, you need to stop. All right,
Yes.
you
It's
need to fucking absolutely
so
stop.
bad. I cannot wait.
Before we leave, I want to show Fraser, and also did a cosplay but this was for Christmas. Not Christmas, I'm sorry. This is for Halloween on Critical Hit Plus. And I'm gonna send it to Fraser before I say what it is. So you can click that link.
All right, let me see. I'm clicking it now. Oh my god. That's actually insane. He actually like that looks really cool. I recognize it immediately. That's actually amazing. And
so
like low-key creepy, but also amazing.
He cosplayed as Tingle. He has a full green jumpsuit on with the red panties. He's got the pointed hat, but he also has like Kanye glasses on.
I wonder, like, was he able to just order this costume straight up?
Nah, I think he like basically made like those green tights. He just made like, okay, no. So the headpiece, so the head's pointed. He was in so much pain, he said, because he actually ended up wearing this to work, like through the New York City subway and everything, because like they had a Halloween costume thing at work.
Yeah.
So he wore this to work. So anyway, he literally handmade like a cone to put on the inside of it to make like the pointed head.
Yeah.
So like he did basically handmade this. I mean, it's a green like suit and red pants, but like for all intents and purposes, he handmade the costume.
This is cool. I mean, it's obviously immediately recognizable and very well done. So
yeah, so that's awesome.
Yes,
the cosplay shit's awesome, man.
Yes, so I want to do a rant cosplay. It'll be a low budget cosplay, but it'll still be funny as hell. Like 100%.
It's going to be a rant. If what Fraser showed me is true, it's going to be a rant. I'll tell you that right now.
People will fucking like. They will love that shit. It's going to be so funny. So yeah. Anyways, before we get out of here, let me just give a shout out to everyone on our Patreon. Now we're over 2 hours. I didn't realize. So we got Connie, Austin, Leon, the OGs. We got some more OGs here. Rogue and Tier 2 aren't bad. They just aren't great, and that's my guy Quest. Garen Williams, Xavier Swift, Hylian, Dimitri Barnes, Meow, which is also Vinny. Vinny was like, do you know that I'm the guy who changed the name to Meow? I was like, yeah, I can see your email address. He was like, God damn it, I was hoping you couldn't tell who it was. I was like, no, I literally know it's you. Like, I can literally see right next to your name, it says like V Casello. So he was like, oh, okay, I didn't know if you, he's like, because every time you read it, you always sound so confused. I'm like, well, it is a fucking sound, not a name.
Yeah, it is definitely a sound.
Yeah, it's a blatant sound. But Meow, ? Dominique Roberts, Giovanni Avalos, Alex Flamer, Henri Reynolds, Dub K Dad 1, Dan Vrabel, First to Home, Dalis Ferneris, S. Akuma, Mitchell Naus, Midwest Gaming, William Shapiro, Dimitri Safirdis. Also, shout out to Midwest Gaming / Joe Dietrich. I saw him at the Philly YCS on Sunday as they were basically closing up. He stopped over by me and said hello. Always a pleasant time seeing Joe. But yeah, so we got William Shapiro, Dimitri Safirdis, Vince Marquette, Dallas Bailey, Roz Weiss, Nick Stango, Hanso, our 2-time national champion. Ka-chan is a poorly written character, which is actually Vincent Zen. Or yeah, that is Vincent Zen. Yes, Z. Yes, I can tell that's by your email address. I'm pretty sure. So Ka-chan is a poorly written character. We're gonna have you explain that one day. I need you to go into the anime channel of the IMNerd podcast Discord server and like let us know why you hate Ka-chan so much, because I need to know. Sarah Maria, Sunny Top Cut Podcast. Oh, okay, that is a different person, because this Sunny is spelled Sonny, and the Sunny that Stengo was talking about and he played against is Sunny. So Sunny Top Cut Podcast, Alex Ahern, Philip Campa, Raleigh Melfi Slump, Chris Lynn, Wookie 159, Edison Club, Kyle Batelho. I saw him also this weekend. Shout out to Kyle. Brandon Moore, Sugal, Nick, Mr. Soltide, Nafa, Corey Fowler, Omar Ramos, Elijah Barfault, Cairo King, Tyler Tadeo, Matt Glenny, Rogateer 2 are the polite terms for bad deck, Duty Booty, Adam Corey, Enraged Peacock, and Leo Bacani. Thank you guys so much for being patrons on the
Fraser just fucking drove right over.
Oh, my bad. I was supposed to
Fraser just drove right over. I literally I like my mouth. I popped my mouth open and everything. I was about to start talking and he just kept going. I was like, all right.
Well, I can edit it out. You could just do your thing right now.
No, fuck that.
Okay, all right. I'll let you get next one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so we will be doing a Patreon exclusive this week, and that's pretty much that until the next official regular episode. But we hope to catch you next one. As I always say, do the things that make you happy, including, going to a YCS in your own state and hanging out with a bunch of friends that you haven't seen in a while, post-pandemic and everything, seeing how everyone's doing. And yeah, that's really all I got for you guys.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good one. Peace out.